Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you for your time. I'm late with bringing you information pertaining to Rex Heuermann. There's so much evolving with this case. The wife, family, new victim has been identified. I wanted to do a two-part live, but I didn't have enough room on my thumbnail for the other rapist that I wanted to mention out west. I'll get to him shortly. This thing, Rex Heuermann, I call him the towering Inferno. That's how I will refer to him, because he is definitely a monster. Walking amongst people in plain sight, and has been deemed a serial killer. Who helped Mr. Heuermann? How many victims? And where did the murders occur? I want you to think about the house. It's been shown a lot on the news. There's something missing. And some people are talking about it. But there's something off with that house. Now, many people who have upper income brackets may not live to the max of their income. Okay? Just bear with me now. This man is allegedly an architect, or was an architect before being arrested. When you see the street where the houses lie, the type of houses that are there, tree line, manicured homes, you have to ask yourself, what is wrong with their house? Allegedly, it's a house that his mother owned, and I guess she gave it to him or willed it to him. But it's off. It's off-putting. A lot of the houses are light in color, two-level, and as I said, manicured lawns. And Court TV did a drive-by of the neighborhood. And when you are far back in viewing the houses, you pull upon their house and you know there's something wrong. And that's the point of this live stream, is that there was something wrong all along, right there in plain sight. A low-level shack, red, dark, metal tins in the front yard holding plants, chopped up wood just thrown about, but yet all the other houses are nice and neat. The family sitting outside after FBI and law enforcement went in to gather information out of the house. And you have to ask yourself, why are they outside? Some will say, oh, well, they ransacked the house. No. We're not going to blame FBI and law enforcement for what was already messed up on the inside. Pictures are showing the house was hoarded up to the doorway, top frame of the doorway. The FBI didn't do that. The FBI didn't bring those boxes in there. They didn't take those boxes in there. They were living afoul in that house. There was something is wrong with them before we even knew that he's allegedly capable, responsible for the deaths of these women. See, I always tell you to look at the bigger picture, because there's always a bigger picture besides what the news is telling you about somebody. You see, you need to ask yourself, why were these people living in a hoarded house, and the father is allegedly working in Manhattan and has his own architectural firm, and they're living in this low-level shack that's hoarded up? Stay woke. Something was wrong with all of them. Now, children don't ask to be here. Children don't choose their parents, but they have older children living in their house still. Why? Now, we can scratch off the one child that's possibly autistic. He may need to be under the care of an adult, but why would an adult child, girl child, be living there? So what is the age of that girl child? Does she go to school? Does she work? And how are they all living in this hoarded house? Now imagine a hoarded house filled to the rafters, and the owner of the house is a damn serial killer. been under investigation formally for about 1.5 years. So we'd have to say possibly he wasn't killing anyone while under surveillance. I hope not, because it'd be a shame to find out he has killed someone under the watchful eye of the FBI and authorities. Then you have to ask that question. If he didn't commit any crimes while being watched, not knowing what made him stop. And we have heard this with many serial killers who did cease their activities. There's another victim that has been identified, and will she be linked to Mr. Heuermann? The wife looks disheveled. When you see her, she doesn't wear a brassiere. Why not? See, I pay attention to everything. Chatty now, but not really saying anything to the media. Telling you to speak with her lawyer if you have any questions. But why would I keep sitting outside knowing people are watching and gawking at me? A lot of people in the comment sections of the news articles, videos are saying, leave them alone, you're harassing them, how cruel, you're mean, blah, blah, blah. Well, think about what you're saying. I can't ask you anything if I don't see you. So if you didn't ever come outside or stayed in that house, I wouldn't have any way to ask you anything. So why sit outside? You want to say it's, as I said, law enforcement ransacked the house. The house was already messed up. They were already living in a messed up environment. FBI could have messed it up no more than it already was. And imagine that, trying to find something in a hoarded house with a bunch of boxes. Why were they living in that house, that dark, gloomy house? Why weren't they living in a nicer house or added on to their house? Or even if they wanted to stay in that low-level house, it could have been more cheerful looking. And why are you a hoarder? Storage unit. What's in the storage unit? What does he have in there? How many does he have? Did he have help? Because I got a funky feeling Mr. Heuermann did not work alone. Because if we're going to tie Miss Gilbert into his number of victims, she was talking to more than one person, assumingly on that audio call to 911. She's basically saying they. So who else was there if he was the killer? We already know that there was a dirty police department, the reason why these murders never got solved. So now I'm going to ask that question. Were any neighbors involved in these killings? Helped him? Friends, associates, an underground group of men gathering, and or the police was also involved? Very interesting. How many victims are we speaking of? I believe there's a total of 11. Is he responsible for all of these victims? And where did the murders take place? Because he had to have gathered the women somewhere. And where is that place? Let's get a little information going. Thank you all so very much. One second, everybody. So much I want to talk about. Trying to get my thoughts together here. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie 129. Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. Trying to make sure I'm sending all my information to be shared. And please share this live stream to other platforms. Thank you so very kindly. Yeah, there's a lot more to this story. I do believe that. One second, you guys. I was rushing to get on. I want to make sure I get this information out to other platforms. Court TV is the source. It was uploaded 2 days ago.
Victim, as we are learning new details about the evidence. Let's get straight to our own Court TV crime and justice correspondent, Matt Johnson. You were there at today's press conference, Matt. First, always great to have you on. Second, what did we learn today about one of the victims?
Judge Ashley, happy Friday to you. Another major development in this case, when you look at all of the victims' remains, 11 of them found over a decade ago, not all of them identified today. One more set of remains, one more victim identified on these steps here behind me for the DA's office. Today, Jane Doe number 7, known as the Fire Island Jane Doe, was identified as Karen Vergata. When she went missing 27 years ago, she was 34 years old, living in Manhattan. She was an escort. She disappeared in February of 1996. No one knew what had happened to her. And then remains were found in 2011. Her legs and feet were discovered in the beach of Long Island, or Fire Island, rather. Her skull located near the dismembered remains of Jane Doe number 3, known as Peaches, off of Ocean Parkway in Long Island. Gilgo Beach Homicide Task Force that was formed just last year. Their investigation also led to the arrest of Rex Heuermann in the Gilgo 4 case. And also this task force started to look into details and evidence in all of the other cases that remain unsolved. And through genetic genealogy, they were able to identify this particular victim today. Take a listen.
Man, I feel good.
Sorry about a brief intermission, everybody.
For these toys to get my mind right. Or maybe expect
to identify this particular victim today. Take a listen.
We're here, I'm here with our fellow task force members to announce the identity of what has formerly been known as Fire Island Jane Doe. On April 20th, 1996, female remains consisting of legs and feet were found on the bayside shore of Fire Island, about a mile west of Davis Park Beach. Then, approximately 15 years later, on April 11, 2011, additional remains consisting of a skull were discovered at Tobay Beach in Nassau County. That skull was found following the discovery of the remains of Jessica Taylor, and the skull was found on the same day as the remains of what is commonly come to be referred to as Peaches was found on Jones Beach. Since 2011, that victim was known by various names, including Fire Island Jane Doe. Today, we are here to announce that as part of the Gilgo Task Force re-examination of all the evidence in the case, we were able to identify Fire Island Jane Doe as Karen Vergata, who was 34 years old at the time of her disappearance. I believe we have a picture of Miss Vergata. I think it's important that we remember and honor not only Miss Vergata, but all the victims on Gilgo Beach.
And that's what today was about. The top prosecutor in Suffolk County, Long Island, New York here, saying that it's about Vergata, not about Rex Heuermann. He's not a suspect in this particular case. But again, our minds go there when we talk about all the 11 victims that were found along this stretch of Sandy Beach. As for Vergata, her family has been notified. Her cause of death not released. And they're also not saying if they have any suspects at this time.
So grateful to law enforcement for putting it together and identifying her. So finally, families know and can hopefully work on next steps in terms of finding some peace, if there is such a thing, at least some justice. Because speaking of justice, there's new evidence that I think we heard about today. Matt, tell us what that was in the Gilgo 4 killings.
Right. Today, when we heard that there was going to be an update with the Gilgo task force, our minds immediately go to the fact of Rex Heuermann is still a suspect in the fourth of 4 killings known as the Gilgo 4, Maureen Barnes. We really thought that we were going to hear details about that and possible charges in that case. Charges are still pending. They are still testing evidence connected with the remains found in that case. But what we do know is that there is new light being shed on a belt that was found with her remains. And in particular, because there's initials on this belt. Prosecutors telling Court TV that her body was found bound with a belt with initials WH or HM. Heuermann's full name, however, is Rex Andrew Heuermann, so his initials don't match that, but the initials could match a possible other relative. Meanwhile, Heuermann faces murder charges in connection to the other 3 Gilgo 4 murder victims. The suspected Long Island serial killer was in court earlier this week. We were there as prosecutors handed over a mountain of evidence to the defense, which included 8 terabytes of material, and that's equivalent to 2,500 pages worth of documents. They also passed over 100 hours of surveillance video, crime scene photos, autopsy report, and phone records and DNA evidence. Here's more now from prosecutors.
This is a 13-year case, so as you saw, we have a great deal of information, evidence, photographs, reports to provide to the defense counsel. We've begun that process. I think it was 8 gigabytes of material, which is a tremendous amount. And that's just the beginning. We're going to continue to do that on a rolling basis. And, this case, the charges in the indictment are just allegations.
I understand there's going to be more discovery forthcoming, and we have a new court date of September 27th. That's the next scheduled court date. And again, it's going to be a conference date, and we'll update the judge on where we're at. So if I can answer some questions, I'll do my best to do that. Well, he's incarcerated. He's a man who's never been arrested before. He's maintained his innocence from the inception of this case. So he's doing the best he can at this point in time. He's looking forward to having his day in court.
And during our week investigating this case here in the New York area, Judge Ashley, we did talk to that defense attorney, and he says he maintains his innocence, and Heuermann is also trying to maintain his relationship with his wife and kids.
All right. Speaking of that relationship with his wife and kids, I know that you, Matt, recently spoke with his soon-to-be ex-wife. What did Rex's wife, soon-to-be ex, have to say?
Yeah, that's right, because 1 week after he was charged with 3 counts first-degree murder, 3 counts second-degree murder, his wife went straight to a divorce lawyer and filed for divorce. But I spoke with her yesterday. We spoke for quite some time. She was in her yard with her dog. She was telling me that ever since that arrest, her life has been shattered. Here's more of our conversation together. Take a listen. I know you can't talk about the case. How are you holding up?
What you see, it is what it is.
How's your children doing?
Not going there.
Have you spoken to your husband?
And I'm not going there either. That's already been, his lawyer's already answered that question.
How are you getting through the day with media and with all the questions? I know it must be tough.
Moment by moment.
That was just a short portion of our lengthy conversation together. At one point, she invited me up on her porch to take a look at the sign, and also that she has posted about contacting her attorney. Her attorney, for that matter, has also released pictures earlier this week concerning damage she says that investigators did. Judge Ashley.
All right, Matt Johnson, thank you so much for joining us there from Long Island.
As I said, when you watch the end of this video, you'll see the photographs, what they show of inside the house. And I'm not getting ready to say that there was no damage done to the home by law enforcement looking for whatever they were looking for. But the point is, those boxes and items, police didn't take those there, Ms. Heuermann. So stop the nonsense now. I don't even understand how they would have been able to move around in there to find anything, because it would have been more of a mess trying to pull stuff out and look through things. You'd forget what you just touched because you move something, go through it. It's too chaotic. You can see it's chaos in there. You're acting like the police brought those boxes and stuff that's stacked up in there. That's you all stuff. That's your stuff. A bunch of junk. And yes, it would be worse to go through a hoarded house and try to go through every bag, every box, newspapers and all that, trying to find something. And as most of you know who follow true crime, when a warrant is signed by a judge, it has to be specific what you are looking for. You can't just go in and seize anything. It has to be an itemized list. So what was on the list? And as I said, the house is hoarded up. It was obvious from the pictures. Police did not bring all that stuff in there. That's your stuff that you already had stacked up, packed up in there. Her attitude, and this is not to seem mean, is there something off with her as well? There's something off with these people. There's something off. And as his attorney said, who's to say she hasn't been to the jail and or at least let's say on the phone, talked to her husband. Maybe he's called, collect. She's answered the phone. Hell, do they even have a home phone? I don't know. But naturally, she says, well, she's not going to the jail, so she'll be bombarded with, media. But you're talking to the media. You just talked to him and gave him an interview. You have spoken with people that have been outside the house. So what would be the difference getting in your car and going to the detention facility? I'm trying to figure out what would be the difference. They can't go in there. They can't. What could they do? Follow you and try to ask you questions. But they can't go in the building. And naturally, you've got to be able to go to the grocery store, shop. And of course, once again, they can follow you. And this is also horrendous, naturally, for the children, people who know them, family, friends, and also the people that live in the neighborhood. Let's not forget about those people because they have to live there, those neighbors. But there's something off with this family. And when they showed the, picture two of the house, the first thing I thought, outside looks bad, and then you're going to show me the inside of a hoarded house, and then you want to act like, oh, the police ransacked our house. Well, it didn't appear that it was up to par before they got there. Who is this man? Mr. Rex Heuermann. How many victims are there? Did he have help? Did he have help from the police department, Suffolk County? The information that they bring you about Jane Doe number 7, Karen Vergata. She was 34 years at the time. He would have been 32, 27 years ago. Okay. If she was alive today, she would be 61. He is 59. She was an escort. I also find it interesting that this picture that they're showing of Miss Vergata is of a young Vergata, like high school or junior high. Why is that? Why isn't there a picture of her from at least the 90s? It's very interesting to me. Fire Island. Legs and feet were found. Head near another victim they call Peaches. 15 years later is when they find her skull. So it appears that the killer was putting body parts in different places. Because you find her legs and feet, Miss Vergata's legs and feet in one place, Fire Island, and then her head somewhere else at Tomar Beach, I believe, near a Peaches. This is disturbing to me. You're just cutting up these people like an experiment and then just take their body parts and dump them here, there, wherever you felt like it, whoever the killer is. And if any of the four were dismembered, then one's going to use deduction that Jane Doe number 7 is also Heuermann's victim. And when we go back to Miss Gilbert's audio to 911, the night she vanished and no one ever heard from her again, it seems like there was more than one person around. That's even more disturbing because, as I said, as of late, we're seeing people who go along with the flow of crime. They aid in the foolishness. So was there a sex party going on with Miss Gilbert and whoever she went to see that night? This is the same young lady who had a driver. And I still believe there's something up with that story, because if she ran off into the marsh, and some people want to act like she got lost, which we know damn well she didn't. She died from what? Being confused. What happened to the driver? You didn't think to go after her? See, that's why I said there's something about that story doesn't make any sense. And I think he's spoken and act like, I don't really understand. You took somebody out there to turn a trick, but yet you're the only one that comes back alive. And you didn't think to chase her down or try to go after her? Well, where were you when she was talking to whoever this is on the audio? So this is BS. All of this is BS. How many victims are there? Did he have help? And where did the murders occur? Thank you for joining me. Let's get a little more information. Oh, mercy. This is just a bad situation. And her sons did not know she had been found. I will bring you information pertaining to that as well, her adult sons. They were not contacted. Karen Vergata, 34-year-old, went missing in 1996, identified Friday as Gilgo Beach murder victim known as Fire Island Jane Doe, whose remains were among nearly a dozen found on Long Island between 2010 and 2011. The Suffolk County District Attorney's Office in New York said it identified Vergata, who was believed to have been working as an escort when she went missing using DNA genetic genealogy, CNN reported. The identification is the latest news to come to light as authorities continue to discover new information into Gilgo Beach killings, and an investigation that kicked off in 2010 when a body was found on a remote stretch off of Long Island's Ocean Parkway. 3 more bodies were found within a 1-mile radius, and another 6 were found the following spring. Vergata is the 6th Gilgo Beach victim to be identified, along with Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25, Melissa Bartholomew, 24, Amber Costello, 27, Megan Waterman, 22, and Shannon Gilbert, 23. And know that all the victims were petite in stature, very short women. Rex Heuermann was indicted on 6 counts of murder last month in connection with the deaths of Brainerd, Barnes, Bartholomew, and Costello, and is also a suspect in the death of a 4th woman who disappeared in 2007, and her remains discovered near the other women. It was the search for Shannon Gilbert that led to the initial discovery of the first body in the town of Oak Beach, about 40 miles east of Manhattan in 2010. By the next spring, nearly a dozen bodies had been found, and police were operating under the assumption a serial killer was at work. The case remained largely cold until investigators in 2020 revealed a photo of what they said was a key piece of evidence in the case: a black leather belt with the initials WH or HM, which you heard here in this commentary by Court TV. Heuermann, a 59-year-old New York City architect, was arrested in the deaths of 3 women and pleaded not guilty to all counts in July. The evidence in the case against Heuermann includes mitochondrial DNA and nuclear DNA, and that's hair for those who are not familiar with the information. Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney said Tuesday, Attorney John Ray, who represents Gilbert's family, told NBC News he feels very strongly that there is undoubtedly another suspect still at large in the Gilgo Beach murders. Very interesting. And that is another question many people are asking. Is there someone else responsible for the other victims that were found? What we don't know. How the women died. The victim's cause of death remains unknown. Who is Rex Heuermann? Gilgo Beach suspect indicted on murder charges is also inside of the reading. For those of you are curious. And then massive amount of evidence against serial killer suspect Rex Heuermann includes terabytes of documents, photos, videos, prosecutors say, and that's also been mentioned here in court TV, 2,500 pages of information, data from phones, terabytes. What all have they gathered from phone data? Pings, that would be pings, Google searches, possibly things downloaded or viewed by cell phone, computer. That's the latest information here. Forbes is the source. So the search for Shannon Gilbert is what jumped off the discovery of these other women. How interesting is that? This is a lady who you hear on that infamous 911 calling, trying to get away from someone, and he was calling himself Mike in that audio. Is Mike Rex Heuermann, or somebody that Rex Heuermann knows, or a completely different person altogether? But you hear her say they're trying to hurt me, and this was your intention all along. That leads me to believe that whoever was last with Sarah Gilbert, it's more than one person. And that's scary as hell to me. Another interesting fact is that there was an Asian cross-dresser found deceased as well. And inside of Mr. Heuermann's searches is information pertaining to an Asian victim. The Asian victim who was found. Now, what are the odds of that? Now, Mr. Attorney, how are you going to explain that in court? You're going to try to scratch off the DNA, the hair. Oh, well, she's a prostitute. She's been probably with a lot of guys that night. He'll probably admit, of course, yeah, he frequented a prostitute, but it doesn't mean that he killed her. That would be his defense for the hair found by one of the victims. She was known to frequent many, many men. And he, yes, had been with a prostitute. So what people are going to say is, well, if you was with one and your hair is on her body, you probably were with other prostitutes. And all these women were sex workers. Stay woke. And if you search each one, each identical person, Mr. Heuermann, how are you going to explain Googling each victim? Because we can gather that you were trying to keep up with the cases. So we're not going to sit here and think you just Googled one female, especially if you are responsible for killing different victims. Then you would Google search each victim. I want to know also why you used, if we're to believe you are the killer, this camouflage burlap. What is the significance with that? And where did you meet the women? Where is the point of the meetup? New York? Where in New York? Near your house? Manhattan? Where? I'm curious. Did you have help by law officials and or any other men? Were you involved in any type of underground group, club that patronized sadism? And how many victims are we speaking of to date? As I said, it will be devastating to know there are other men who were in cahoots with Mr. Heuermann, and they participated in the deaths of these women. And as you heard also in this article, there is no definitive answer to how the women were murdered. Even more scary. The body parts being cut up is even, oh man, feet and hands in one place, skull in another. You're just riding around with body parts, dropping them here, then let's go take the skull over there. Who does this? And as you've heard on Court TV, driving along desolate highway, you've got to be able to pull over. You've got to pull the body out of either the back seat or the trunk. You didn't care about being detected. Then you had to walk over into the marsh to dispose of the body. Now, let's just say you've killed all 11. That's 11 times you've done that. And more if you cut the victims up and put their body parts in different places. So you were out all times of night putting body parts in different parts of a beach. It's disgusting. Oh, I'm going to take the hands and feet and put it over here. Then you go put a head over here by another victim. 15 years apart with Miss Vergata. Hands and feet at one beach, and then a skull over here by another victim. Found 15 years later. Her head. You can't make this stuff up. And how devastating it must be for her children to finally hear their mother has been located, but not alive. Just in bits and pieces. What happened to Miss Vergata? How did she end up a sex worker? What was her life like? Just like with the other young ladies. What was it about their life that led them to this decision to become sex workers? Because there are those rare cases of young women who had allegedly a decent life to the eye public, but they made the decision to work the street. And a lot of times, many women go to prostitution because they become addicted to drugs and they need to support their habit. I mean, not all cases of prostitution are the same. Some people, as I said, it's just a decision, a way to make quick, fast money. Don't have a drug problem, didn't have a bad home life or sadism at their home by a nasty father, parent, or something. Just an easy way to make money. Very interesting. I'm going to continue this information pertaining to Mr. Heuermann. Thank you for joining me. That last information was by Forbes. The independent.co.uk is the source of this second information. The sons of a newly identified Gilgo Beach murders victim reportedly were not notified by Long Island police before her name was revealed to the public. Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney held a press conference on Friday to announce that the victim, known only as Jane Doe No. 7, had finally been identified as Karen Vergata more than 26 years after her partial remains were first discovered along the Long Island shores. Vergata, 34, was last seen in Manhattan in 1996 while working as an escort. The huge breakthrough in the case comes almost 3 decades after some of Vergata's remains were first discovered, and just weeks after Rex Heuermann, a 59-year-old father of 2, architect, was arrested and charged with the murders of 3 other Gilgo Beach victims. Mr. Tierney told reporters that Vergata had been positively identified via DNA in August of 2022, but investigators kept the development under wraps due to the ongoing investigation into Mr. Heuermann. Officials refused to comment on whether or not her murder may be linked to the suspected serial killer. The district attorney also attributed the delay to the need to contact Vergata's family members. However, it has since emerged that Vergata's 2 biological sons, Eric and Gary Daugherty, apparently were not informed before Friday's announcement. Eric's girlfriend, Michelle Nolan, told the New York Post that he only found out after the press conference when they were contacted by the woman who adopted them as young children a few years before Vergata's death. Miss Nolan said Eric was distraught, having believed that Vergata was only missing. Mr. Tierney's office did not return the Post's request for comment about family notification, the outlet reported. Miss Nolan said Eric and Gary grew up with little knowledge of their biological mother after having been adopted by Edward and Diane Daugherty in 1992. She explained that Vergata had been struck by a truck while she was pregnant with Gary in the late 80s, which is thought to have led to him being born with cerebral palsy. Shortly after Eric was born in 1990, Vergata took off, Miss Nolan said. She was a drug user, and their father took her and helped her, she said. Miss Nolan said the boy's father was believed to have died with tuberculosis, but she wasn't sure when. She said that Gary is now living in a facility for adults with special needs and has not been informed about his mother's death. Vergata vanished without a trace around February 14, 1996, Valentine's Day, according to officials. She lived on West 45th Street, Manhattan, and is believed to have been working as an escort at the time of her disappearance. Police said that no missing persons report was filed at the time. On April 20th, 1996, a woman's legs were found wrapped in plastic at Davis Park on Fire Island's Blue Point Beach. Almost exactly 15 years later, on April 11, 2011, the woman's skull was then found off Ocean Parkway during the search for Gilgo Beach victims. The skull was located close to the remains of another unidentified victim, Jane Doe number 3, also known as Peaches. The two sets of remains in Fire Island and Ocean Parkway were later found to belong to the same person. Before now, investigators had long been unable to identify Jane Doe 7, and the victim became known as Fire Island Jane Doe. She was described only as a white woman aged 18 to 50 years old who had several notable scars, including evidence of surgery on her left ankle. She was one of 11 victims whose remains were found dumped along the shores of Gilgo Beach 2010 and 2011. Several of the women are also yet to be identified. Decades later, investigators were finally able to identify Fire Island Jane Doe using genetic genealogy and her surviving relatives' DNA. In August of 2022, around 6 months after the new Gilgo Beach Task Force was launched, a DNA profile suitable for genealogical comparison was developed from the remains of the victim, officials said in a press conference on Friday. The next month, the FBI was able to presumptively identify the victim using genetic genealogy as Vergata. Then, that October, investigators tracked down a relative of Vergata and took a buccal swab. Using this, they were able to definitively identify the victim as Vergata. At Friday's press conference, Mr. Tierney said investigators kept that breakthrough hidden until now due to both the ongoing investigation into Mr. Heuermann and the need to contact all of Vergata's family members. Prior to disclosing, we need to contact all Vergata's family members, and around the same time, we were beginning the grand jury confidential investigation into the murders of the victims known as Gilgo 4, he told reporters. So we decided not to make it public until the results of that investigation became public and we had made notice to Vergata's family. He added, "Today we are here to announce that as part of the Gilgo Task Force re-examination of all evidence in the case, we are able to identify Fire Island Jane Doe as Karen Vergata. It is important that we remember and honor not only Miss Vergata, but all the victims on Gilgo Beach," he added. While this marks a major breakthrough in the case, many questions still remain. In Friday's press conference announcing her identity, Suffolk County officials refused to take any questions and would not comment on whether or not Vergata's murder could be linked to Mr. Heuermann, who has so far been tied to 4 of the victims found along the Long Island shores. At this time, no one has been charged in connection to her homicide, and her cause of death is unknown. DA Tierney said that while there are no charges at this time, that the confidential investigation is ongoing. He would not confirm or deny any ties to accused killer Rex Heuermann or say if there was any potential suspects on his radar. "We are going to continue to work this particular case as we did the Gilgo 4 investigation," he said. "We're not going to comment on what, if any, suspects we develop at this time. This is a confidential investigation, so I'm not going to be taking any questions." This major development comes as prosecutors are seeking to obtain a swab of DNA from Mr. Heuermann, the man arrested and charged with the murders of 3 of the victims and suspected of a 4th killing. In a court filing this week, prosecutors said that the DNA sample would provide further relevant evidence of the defendant's identity as the perpetrator of the crime. Prosecutors have so far obtained hundreds of hours of footage from the suspect's home in Massapequa Park and his office in Midtown Manhattan, 2,500 pages of documents, crime scene photographs, and autopsy reports in the high-profile case. The trove of evidence was turned over to Suffolk County Supreme Court Justice Timothy Mazin and Mr. Heuermann's attorney Michael Brown on Tuesday as the accused killer appeared in court for a brief preliminary hearing. Suffolk County DA Tierney said last week that a massive amount of evidence had been recovered from the home which Mr. Heuermann grew up in as a child, and which he went on to share with his family up until his sudden arrest. No human remains were discovered, but a trove of around 270 guns were seized from the home. The DA previously revealed that they believe at least some of the murders may have taken place inside the home. Mr. Heuermann's wife and 2 adult children were out of town at the time of each of the 3 murders he is charged with, according to court records. 59-year-old architect was taken into custody July 13, almost 13 years after the bodies of at least 11 victims were discovered along the shores of Gilgo Beach on Long Island. He was charged with the murders of Megan Waterman, Melissa Barthélemy, and Amber Costello. He is also the prime suspect in the murder of Maureen Brainerd Barnes, who was last seen alive in early June 2007 in New York City, and who, with 3 other women, is known as the Gilgo Four. All 4 women worked as sex workers and disappeared after going to meet a client. They were all found in December of 2010 within 1/4 mile of each other, bound by belts or tape, and some wrapped in burlap. Their bodies dumped along Gilgo Beach. They were all among 11 victims. Let's repeat that again. They are among, 11 victims whose remains were found along the shores of Long Island in 2010 and 2011, sparking fears of one or more serial killers. As well as looking into his connection to the murder of Brainerd Barnes and the other Gilgo Beach victims, law enforcement agencies are now also looking into unsolved murders and missing person cases all across the country. Police in Las Vegas and South Carolina, where Mr. Heuermann owns properties in Atlantic City, where several sex workers have been found murdered, have confirmed they are eyeing the suspect in cold cases. Court records show that Mr. Heuermann was linked to the Gilgo Four murders through a tip about his pickup truck. A stash of burner phones, sadistic online searches, phone calls taunting victims, families, his wife's hair found on the victims' bodies, and a pizza crust. The first piece of the puzzle came when a witness in the Amber Costello case revealed details about a vehicle that a client was driving when she was last seen alive. Costello, who worked as a sex worker, was seen alive on the evening of September 2nd, 2010, when she left her home in West Babylon. A witness said she had gone to meet a client who was driving a first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche. Last year, registration search showed that local man, Mr. Heuermann, owned a first-generation model of the truck at the time of Costello's disappearance. He also matched the witness description of the man believed to be the killer, a large, white, ogre-like male in his mid-40s, around 6'4" to 6'6" tall and with dark, bushy hair and big, oval-style 1970s type eyeglasses. The discovery of the car led investigators to hone in on Mr. Heuermann, including executing 300 subpoenas, search warrants, and other legal processes to obtain evidence to determine his potential involvement in the killings. Among this was Mr. Heuermann's alleged use of burner phones, with prosecutors saying that he used burner phones to contact the 3 women and arranged to meet them at the time when they went missing. He also allegedly took 2 of the victims' cell phones and used one to make taunting phone calls to one of their families, where he boasted about her murder, court documents state. Mr. Heuermann's DNA was found on one of the victims, while his wife's hair was found on 3 of the 4 women he is connected to. Let me repeat that again. Mr. Heuermann's DNA was found on one of the victims, while his wife's hair was found on 3 of the 4 he is connected to. Make that make sense. Following his arrest, his wife, Asa Elam, filed for divorce. She has since told the New York Post that she has been left filled with anxiety and their 2 children cried themselves to sleep over the horror. I woke up in the middle of the night shivering anxiety, she said. My children cry themselves to sleep. I mean, they're not children. They're grown adults and they're my children. And my son has developmental disabilities and he cried himself to sleep. Mr. Heuermann's sudden arrest comes after the horrific serial killer case has captured the nation's attention for more than a decade. The Gilgo Beach murders had long stumped law enforcement officials in Suffolk County who believed it could be the work of one or more serial killers who targeted sex workers and dumped their bodies along the remote beaches on Ocean Parkway. The case began in May 2010 when Shannon Gilbert vanished after leaving a client's house on foot near Gilgo Beach. She called 911 saying she feared for her life and was never seen alive again. During a search for Gilbert in dense thicket close to the beach, police discovered the remains of another woman. Within a matter of days, the remains of 3 victims were found close by. By spring 2011, the remains of a total of 10 victims had been found, including 8 women, a man, and a toddler. Police have long thought that it could be the work of one or more serial killers. Gilbert's body was then found in December 2011. Her cause of death is wide contested, with authorities long claiming that it is not connected to the serial killer or killers, but that she died from accidental drowning as she fled from the client's home. So is that true that Miss Gilbert died in the marsh trying to escape? But the point is she feared for her safety and she fled. What is the truth? However, an independent autopsy commissioned by her family ruled that she died by strangulation, and her mother believes she was murdered. Like Gilbert, most of the victims targeted were sex workers, while some are yet to be identified. Independent.co.uk is the source. A lot of information, but that is a recap of the Rex Heuermann case. He has been accused of murdering 4 women. A Jane Doe number 7 has been identified as Miss Karen Vergata, Fire Island victim. All these people, women dumped in close proximity to one another. And the part that's really got me shaking now is that, Mrs. Heuermann, what is your hair doing on 3 of the other victims? Please make me understand. This is awfully similar to Miss Lori Vallow Daybell, her hair on top of her son, which people can say, well, that's her child, transference of hair, blah, blah, blah. Well, explain to us, Miss Heuermann, why your hair is on 3 of the women. He's been at work all day. You want me to believe that he got off from work, went all the way to his house, and then jumped back out and went back into Manhattan to pick up the women, and then killed the women and took them out to Gilgo Beach. Stay woke, everybody, because I'm woke. I don't think he ever came home much after work, if you get my drift. He probably had a change of clothes at his job. He played in the city at night when he got off from his architectural job. Was he actually an architect? I've questioned that as well because of how that house looks in that nice, quaint town where they live. Your house does not match the stature of the other homes. And as someone said, what was he doing with the money? Why did he need 270 guns? Stay woke. Will we find out, Miss Heuermann, that you know more about the story of these dead women? Do I need to make a separate video pertaining to Asa? Because I want to know why your hair would be on 3 of the victims. Make it make sense. Is it because your house was so damn nasty and filled up with junk that he probably didn't even have clean clothes? Your husband. Was he wearing the same clothes day to day to work? And you all were stacked up, hoarded up in that house. So there's a lot of hair and, God forbid, dogs and parakeets. And you all see where I'm going. All over the place. And that's why your hair was on the victims. What? Their clothing? He's on top of them, strangling them, beating them, and your hair just so happened to get tangled up with the victims. And that's expected, of course. Sit in a chair, dog hair jumping on top of the chair in the bed, and it gets off on your clothes, and then you go out here to your job, McDonald's and other places, and you leave behind dog hair and this hair and that hair, but it's too damn convenient. Your fucking hair is on 3 dead women. So I'm going to ask you, Ms. Heuermann, have you been lying to law officials? And I got information just from the news. You ain't been talking to them, have you, Ms. Heuermann? Why is that? And you need a lawyer for what? To get a divorce or possible you're involved with your husband, because we have heard of some dirty, dirty women who have went along with sexual assaults against women and watched the brutality of rape and then murder. So I'm going to ask you, did you help your husband in any of these crimes against these victims? And how many victims are we talking about? Now they're asking if some of the women have been in your house. So would that explain why your hair is on the victims? And where would you be while he's bringing these ladies to your house, allegedly, in that hoarded up damn house? When did you all start hoarding items? I'm curious. So you have to ask all the questions. Is the wife a party to these murders? Or is it he did take those women back to the house, to the basement, side door? Will we find out the women were murdered at that damn shack of a house? Taken to a basement, cellar. And will we find out that he did bring some of the women back and mommy knew? Ding. And didn't say a word. Lord have mercy. Very scary. Let's hear from the alleged killer himself in his own words. A very cocky, arrogant SOB. All information is posted in the YouTube queue and also on my community page if you need verification for the information. God help us all. You don't know, people. My next live is going to be pertaining to Negasi Zuberi from out west, who's been charged with interstate kidnapping and possibly linked to other sexual assaults. 4 other assaults are linked to his aliases. We're going to bring you information about this man. I do not know his nationality, if he's Haitian or what he is, but we're going to talk about that. There's another video I need to play by News Nation pertaining to this crazy story, Lord. And prayers for the lady who was found murdered in Atlanta, Georgia. Miss Amani Roberson, her husband, has been charged in her murder. She leaves behind 4 children. Prayers to the family. Okay, I want to see if I can find this. This video here where he's speaking. Daily Mail is the source. Hello, Bella. How are you? Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me.
I'm an architect. I'm an architectural consultant. I'm a troubleshooter. Born and raised on Long Island. Okay. Been working in Manhattan since 1987.
After more than a decade, police have finally arrested the man they believe is the Long Island serial killer, also known as the Gilgo Beach Killer. True crime community has been obsessed with this unsolved case, and allegedly so has the guy arrested for the killings, Rex Heuermann. Police uncovered hundreds of searches on his computer about this case.
What the defendant was searching. In a 14-month period, he had over 200 searches pertaining to the Gilgo investigation. He was searching, compulsively searching pictures of the victims, but not only pictures of the victims, pictures of their relatives. And he was trying to locate those individuals. In addition to that, there was a lot of torture, porn, and what you would consider depictions of women being abused, being raped, and being killed.
The 59-year-old architect was taken into custody on July 13th at his Midtown Manhattan office and has been charged with the murders of Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. The bodies of the 3 victims, along with one other, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, were found over the course of 2 days in 2010, within a quarter mile of each other along a stretch of highway in Long Island. They would become known as the Gilgo Beach 4. Heuermann has been indicted for the murders of 3 of the victims and is the prime suspect in the 4th. These cases had gone cold for years, but in 2022, a new task force was formed with the express purpose of finding the Long Island serial killer. And at a press conference, police did not mince words when it came to describing the man they arrested.
Heuermann is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families.
So how did this, quote, predator live and function for all these years without raising suspicion? Well, pretty successfully. Heuermann's arrest came as a huge shock to a lot of people who know him. The Long Island native is an imposing man. He's somewhere between 6'4" and 6'6", weighs more than 250 pounds, but he's been described by several people as being affable. Coworkers even nicknamed him Peter Griffin after the Family Guy character. And a colleague described him to Fox News Digital as patient and goofy, meticulous with his work. Heuermann was the president of his own architecture firm
and reckless after hours.
Successful, and his 26-year-old daughter Victoria worked for him. At least outwardly,
26-year-old daughter.
Family man. He's married, and along with Victoria, he and his wife Asa have a special needs son.
Oh, Asa.
Not a lot of
Sorry.
talk about Asa. She's kept a pretty low profile so far. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows describing this guy. Trust me. A colleague who wished to remain anonymous told the New York Post that the murder suspect once spoke about the Gilgo Beach killings and allegedly questioned why the murderer would use a burlap net to dispose of bodies. And a neighbor also told Fox that he was a bit of an oddball. But if you ask law enforcement, Heuermann is as depraved as it comes. I mean, you heard them earlier. They believe he's a predator. And in court documents, they presented evidence that they hope will prove it in a court of law. Here is some of the most disturbing information that investigators discovered while they were digging into Rex Heuermann. A grand jury was convened, and through that grand jury, the List task force was able to obtain hundreds of subpoenas. Many of them were to search Heuermann's digital footprint, which police say...
I'm gonna stop there because I'm trying to hear where he was speaking. I want a piece of that interview. Hold on, let me try to pull that up because they didn't play all of that interview. Another part of the story that's baffling, besides the wife's hair on 3 of the victims, his DNA on one of the victims, the searches of the women, their family members, he reached out to family members, taunting them, very sick, using the victims' cell phones. But the porn of young girls, torture porn, and they all were young women. Young women or young girls. Obviously, he's into young women, girls. He has a fetish for younger looking females. Why is that? Torture victims, which I'm sure that's what he did to his victims. That's why he'd be searching it, because that's what he was into. That's what he has an appetite for. Mr. Heuermann, you are probably very disgusted now because you're locked up with a bunch of men. But I won't doubt that you probably like men as well, because one of the victims, he has yet to be tied to you. But the Asian guy was a cross-dresser. So I'm going to ask you, do you like men? Are you bisexual? Or did you think you had summoned a woman and found out it was a guy and became really angry? Oh, no, he's got a penis. That would really set you off now, wouldn't it? Thinking you have gotten a petite little Asian female and it's a boy. My. That's enough to make a 6'3", 6'4", towering Inferno really explode, would it not? Oh, of course. He would be very angry. I thought it was a woman. It's not a woman. It's a man. How dare you? Very interesting. I'm trying to find this whole interview of him speaking. I'm going to type his name in and I'm going to see if I can get the whole interview. Hold on one second, everybody. Because I believe it was a YouTuber that interviewed him. that interviewed him. Well, let's hear from the guy who interviewed him. This was uploaded 3 weeks ago by CBS News.
As you can imagine, the arrest sent shockwaves through a quiet Long Island neighborhood as police swarmed the suspect's home.
CBS 2's Dick Brennan went to Massapequa Park to get reaction from some very stunned neighbors.
Into the night, people in Massapequa Park did their best to get a glimpse of the home of the suspected serial killer living right in their midst.
It's creepy, really. I mean, if you look at the house, I mean, it kind of stands out.
Yes.
But, it's creepy. It's weird.
Exactly.
It's a quiet town. Everyone knows each other. Nothing really goes on. So it was just surprising to hear and kind of scary. I was like, holy crap. Unbelievable right now town.
James Pagano couldn't believe when he heard the name of the suspect because he went to high school with Rex Heuermann.
He was very quiet, dark, kept to himself, and extremely intelligent, very smart.
So just who is Rex Heuermann? He grew up on Long Island, but he worked in Midtown, an architect who ran a company called RH Consultants and Associates.
How you doing? Good to see you.
YouTuber Antoine Amira, who runs a page called Bonjour Realty, interviewed Heuermann about his work a year ago.
What has this job taught you about yourself?
I think it's taught me more about how to understand people.
Really what stood out is his attention to details. He was very knowledgeable, very detail-oriented.
Amira told us Heuermann had a distinct physical presence.
Intimidating, no. Imposing, yes, very, very imposing. He is ahead of both me, a very large person. I still remember his handshake when we met. Very strong. A very strong handshake. It was like you were shaking like a very thick piece of marble. That's how strong his hand was.
CBS 2 was outside Heuermann's office at 36th and 5th as authorities carried out at least 4 computers, and now the investigation continues.
The human nature is fascinating because you never know who you have in front of you. It's
That's
very unsettling at the same time, but also fascinating.
All right, CBS New York is the source. I'm going to share that to my community page in case you'd like to go back and listen to it again. I'm trying to find that entire interview if I can. And that's what I want to listen. And then 11 days ago, BTK had to give his opinion, a clone of me. Oh, God, give me a break. And then Daily Mail has new information saying Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Heuermann linked to 4 Las Vegas murders. God, I hope not. That's also posted to my, I'm posting that to my community board for those who are curious, the latest information. I'm trying to get that whole interview if I can find it. And then 2 weeks ago, a young lady spoke with ABC 7 New York. She's a former escort that recounts a date she had with him. Dear God. I'm trying to get this interview. Then they say he has a quiet behavior in jail. That's by Court TV. If I can find this interview. Let's listen at this here. I want to share this also to my community board. This is him calling somebody pertaining to the murders. Lord have mercy, give me a break. Woman shares chilling voicemail left by Gilgo Beach murder suspect. Will this voice match Mr. Rex Heuermann when it is time for court? Thank you for joining me, everybody. ABC 7 New York is the source.
Of killing and dumping the bodies of at least 3 women along Gilgo Beach on Long Island. Neighbors and acquaintances are sharing stories about Rex Heuermann. One still had a voicemail message from the alleged serial killer. Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Carlo has that exclusive interview from Massapequa Park.
Yes, investigators spent much of the day searching Heuermann's home, checking to see if any mementos are trophies from his victims.
It's just really unsettling knowing that something like this literally hits so close to home.
Forensic investigators in and out of a home that neighbors say always looked a little out of place next to the perfectly manicured lawns in Massapequa Park.
This one, just you always looked at it and it looked a little creepier, weird.
The man who lived there, now a suspected killer.
It was a really hot day out and he was outside in overalls chopping wood in the driveway.
Cassandra Wickard had spoken to Rex Heuermann when he was just her neighbor.
He talked to us about how he does woodworking and building furniture, and his father used to build furniture.
His life as a husband, a father, and an architect seemed ordinary.
Hey, this is Rex.
Just like this voicemail obtained exclusively by Eyewitness News.
I had a question for you.
I assumed he just wanted to do some work together, but he always made me a little bit uncomfortable.
He also wanted to touch base.
Dominique Vidal says Heuermann left her that message in late February. When she left a networking group for architects and designers, she says they were both in. Heuermann apparently up until his arrest Thursday. She recalls some of their now chilling past conversations.
And then he asked me if I knew about the Gilgo Beach murders. And back then, I was like, oh, yeah, he's just from that area. But now I just see it as a serial killer, kind of just putting it in somebody's face.
Yeah, I think he was leading certainly a double life.
Investigators say Heuermann's obsessive web searches about the case, his use of burner phones, and DNA extracted from pizza crust helped tie him to the murders of 3 women, making him a prime suspect for a 4th.
He definitely bifurcated his life as to, what he did behind closed doors and what the public saw.
Law enforcement now with a full DNA sample can determine if any of the other Gilgo Beach murders can be connected to Heuermann. He's pleading not guilty.
All right, everybody, not guilty. I'll also share that. So, was he looking for a new victim? Because I find it interesting, he's reaching out to her after she's left. Let's see this 27 take of this interview. I'm trying to find the entire interview. I can't find it for some reason.
So I have one tool that's pretty much used in almost every job, and it's actually a cabinet maker's hammer.
Oh, okay, cabinet maker hammer. Okay.
It is persuasive enough when I need to persuade something.
Not someone.
Something. And it always yields excellent results.
Did you hear that? Maybe I should go back and play that again. Persuasive enough. Listen to how that sounds.
So I have one tool that's pretty much used in almost every job, and it's actually a cabinet maker's hammer.
Oh, okay, cabinet maker hammer. Okay.
It is persuasive enough when I need to persuade something.
Not someone.
Something. And it always yields excellent results.
You see, everything is about hindsight, is it not? The people you talk to in life, the conversations you have, intuitions of people. See, a lot of people are oblivious to things. They listen to anything people say and believe them. They don't question anything. And I'm sure many people who crossed this path probably never questioned anything he ever said or did, such as that girl said, well, he was talking about the Gilgo Beach. I figured he just talking about the murders because he lived out there. No big deal until now he's arrested. You go back in hindsight and that comes to your mind, that conversation. Him leaving messages wanting to talk to you about whatever. Probably not business-like because he's a killer playing mind games. That's his job. Not an architect. That's just a cover. He's a sadist. Hunting women, easy prey, somebody he knows that can get in his presence, car, get along with him, and then have his way with her. I won't doubt he used a hammer to probably beat the women to death. That's why he said that. I use it all the time for my jobs. The jobs are probably murdering the women. Stay woke. I'm not saying he didn't do woodworking at his house, but he also was a killer. So I won't doubt he probably used that hammer and other tools to hurt the women, kill the women, torture the women. And if he indeed cut up these women, then you know he used other tools. The reasoning for 270 guns. Why would anyone spend their money on 270 guns? Stay woke. So this is what they're talking about. Your house is not up to par looking, not as nice as the other houses. Front yard looks a hot mess. Backyard probably a hot mess. Inside hoarded up, and you had the nerve to have timeshares and 270 guns. You see, the things he should have been doing with his money, like keep the house up. He didn't care about the house. Because when they zoom in on that house, you can look at the window sills. They're nasty. They're dirty. Hasn't been pressure washed in God knows how long. Probably never has been. It's a family house. So that house is old. There's probably nothing new in there. No new furniture. No new flooring. No new paint. The outside windows are decrepit looking. There's nothing new about that house. He took his money and did what he wanted to do. I doubt that the mother even had control of money. How much you want to bet he gave her an allowance? Had to probably get permission just to buy groceries. See, your appearance tells a lot about who you are. A lot of people don't believe that, but of course it does. Every photograph I've seen of her, she doesn't even have on one bit of mascara, lip gloss, nothing. Won't even wear a bra to come outside, walk the dog. Because that's how she was looking before the rest of her husband. Stay woke. That's why the house is dilapidated looking outside. The inside jacked up, a mess, hoarded, because he did what he wanted with his money. He probably has a lot of money in the bank, but he bought and spent it the way he saw fit. Yes, she literally looks poor. Exactly. Why is that? And your husband is an architect. And New York is one of the most expensive places to live, that little bitty island. You can't even get a little bitty box for $1,500, $2,000 a month. So imagine living on Long Island. The houses cost more than the average house in the United States. And they're living in this nice town, living in a shack. Deemed very smart, this man, as you heard this man speaking to him from high school. Very intelligent. And then the guy who interviewed him, a YouTuber, said he's very imposing. Well, possibly so. Big old giant. Towering Inferno, as I call him. Seemed quiet. Oh, he's quiet in jail. Of course, because he's got to contemplate how he's going to portray himself in court. He's no fool. And as you heard this YouTuber say, meticulous. Exactly. And that's how he was while he was out picking up prey. Stalking and looking and lurking and luring in the women for his sexual deviant games. He is a predator. And if he was meticulous in work, he'd be meticulous at killing. Think about how long he was out there killing and walked free. Stay woke. I do believe the wife knew of his sexual nature. I'm not going to sit here and say that she didn't. I got a funky feeling he has exhibited his sadism towards her during sex, probably choking, pulling hair. She may have liked it, may not have liked it. And let's just say maybe she didn't like it, and that led him to sex workers. He liked violence during sex. She wasn't into it, didn't want to role play. So I'll go find a willing participant. But who's to say they were willing? Willing for sex, but not torture. Sadism. So there's a difference. Just because you're paying me doesn't mean I want to go along with your dirty sex games. And what are you going to do with something that big? 6'4", 6'3"? Nothing. Because you're 5'5", 5 feet tall, you can't fight off nothing that big. All that weight on top of you, it's a wrap. And he knew that. And most sadists know this because most men have more muscle mass than women. Even the smallest of a man can dominate a heavy-set woman, tall woman, chubby woman, solid woman, because most men are stronger than women. And you don't know people. And that's why a lot of women are overtaken, because it starts off with a friendly conversation. And then once the door is closed, as a relative once said to me many years ago, you may agree to have company or go with a man, but it does not mean he will play fair once the door is closed. And that's Rex Heuermann. Once the door is closed, the beast is exposed. And imagine the look and the horror on a woman's face once she realized she is alone with the beast. And this has happened to many women and men as well, that they were hoodwinked and bamboozled to get in the car, to go on a date, to come in for a nightcap, or, hey, can I come use your bathroom for just a second? Hey, can I come over and talk to you for just a second? Hey, can I come in for just a second? And then once the door closed, all bets are off. That's Rex Heuermann. And there will be more Rex Heuermanns to date. And there's somebody walking around right now, lurking in the shadows, looking for a victim, looking for a prostitute, looking for a date, looking for someone to take home, looking for somebody to push in a car, looking for somebody to follow home, crawl through a window, break in a door. So you don't know people. And they use women as well to solicit women. Yes, we have dirty women who ride the ride as well. That's why I said, who is this Asa lady? Because it'll be a shame to find out she knows way more than what she's portraying. And if she has not talked to authorities, that will lead me to wonder if she knows more about her husband's dirty, dirty deeds. Because why not talk to the police? You have nothing to hide. You don't know of his extracurricular activities. So what do you have to lose by talking to the police to give them information? Police need the information. How was your marriage? How did you all get along? What was your sex life like? They need that information. This is to let them into the mind of this fucking man. The psychologists, they're going to want that information so they can see who they're dealing with, because somebody's going to have to discuss this thing in court to say why he did these things. So now we got to go back into his childhood. What type of parents did he have? Dominant mother, dominant father, alcoholic parents, abusive parents? Or did he have nice, kind parents, Christian parents, Catholic parents? Who raised Rex Heuermann? Thank you for joining me. The words of a killer. Very scary. Very, very scary. I think I doubled. Wait, I left some information. Shared it 2 times. Let's hear what else we have pertaining to him. I'm going to bring you more information as well of the guy out west, because I wanted to put him in this live stream as well, but this will be just a Rex Heuermann video for tonight. Very likely police will connect serial killer to Gilgo Beach remains. News Nation is the source. This was uploaded 1 day ago. Thank you for your time.
Karen Vergata and the larger picture of the Gilgo Beach murders is former FBI Special Agent and News Nation's Law and Justice contributor, Jennifer
Thank you, Bella.
Coffin-Deffer. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here. I know as a former FBI Special Agent and Law and Justice contributor, you have worked in this space for a while. Jennifer, when we talk about this DNA, helping them to determine the identity of Miss Vergata, why is that so important, and how is it that they're able to use that information to possibly exclude or include her in the murders of those connected with the Gilgo Beach suspect?
Well, first of all, Nick, it's so important because you cannot start an investigation unless you really understand who that victim was. Once you have a victim name, you can look back and you can find so much more information, which law enforcement already has. They've identified where she worked, which was not far from where Rex Heuermann worked. They found out what industry she was in, which was the same industry type worker that Rex Heuermann liked to associate with and liked to victimize. Also, the age is very interesting.
Yes.
Fairly young female in her 30s.
Yes.
So all of this information helps law enforcement either connect Rex Heuermann to her death or another individual.
When we have information like this come forward, is it commonplace then, Jennifer, to try and revisit other open cases and other missing victims and see if they're tied to the suspect that you may have in custody?
Well, certainly. And when you look at the place these individuals were all buried or discarded, that proximity already makes a tie-in with each individual. In this case, in 1996, recall, they found her lower extremities and they were bound. So I think that's very interesting because we know that at least with the Gilgo 3 that they were also bound, and that's very similar in terms of modus operandi.
Jennifer, there are 10 Gilgo Beach victims whose remains have been found, but Rex Heuermann has been charged with killing only 3 of them and also named as a suspect in the 4th. Do you think it's likely he'll eventually be connected to some of the other victims, like Karen Vergata? And if so, why or why not?
I think it is very likely he will be. And I base that on the fact that it's similar in terms of how these crimes were committed, where the bodies were left, also the binding process, also the nature of each of those victims, all being female. We have one small child and we have one man who was dressed as a woman. So you have these similarities that draw a person to think that it could be the same serial killer. If not, we could be looking at another serial killer, Nick, which is also very scary because he's not in custody.
And then possibly dumping bodies in the same area. That would really be frightening. Jennifer, one last question before I let you go. Karen Vergata's remains were found in 1996, but they weren't confirmed as hers until this week. Can you explain why it's such a long process to figure out whose remains they were if they had this DNA?
Well, in part, 1996, there wouldn't have been the DNA advancements to use the mitochondrial DNA connection to actually conduct genealogy studies and connect that DNA to somebody else in her family, which is how they ultimately were able to identify her. Recall also 2011, her skull was found. Now, because this task force only recently started up, are we seeing true advancements in terms of identification of these victims? Thank goodness, Nick, for this task force.
Jennifer Coffin-Deffer, thank you so much for joining us and breaking that down.
Thank you for watching. Go to
all right, everybody.
newsnationnow.com.
News Nation is the source. Thank you all for the lovely compliments, but I wouldn't want to be a judge, and I definitely wouldn't want to be an attorney. I hate doing all this reading I have to do. You see that one article I read to you all was very winded, and I don't think I would have the patience to do a lot of reading and comprehension, because with being an attorney, you have a lot of reading to do. and a lot of info. The link is in the chat if you want to hit the link to give your opinion pertaining to Rex Heuermann, his wife, the status of that home. If the wife knew more, are there others involved in the killings? How many victims there are? And where did the murders take place? Because they're saying they believe the wife wasn't home. So when you say that, you have to ask the obvious then. If you think she wasn't home, then you're saying that he killed the ladies at his house. So then you have to ask, did neighbors ever see any women coming in late night but not checking back out? Because that's a weird statement to say. Oh, she wasn't home when the women were killed. Well, then where was she? Where would the wife be then? If they only have one house. At the time, he was staying in the house with his wife. That makes no sense. Unless you're trying to say they lived in separate domains. So let's ask that question. Did Mr. Heuermann have a party place in New York City? Checkmate. Some place to play games. But then you also have to be able to get the victim out of the house. Out of the apartment, condo, wherever. Walk up. And let me tell you, if you've ever been to New York City, you're talking about 5, 6 floors up. Even though he's a big guy, that's a lot to carry downstairs. You lived in a walk-up. You got to carry the victim out. You got to be able to carry the victim out of something concealed. So did he have a playhouse in the city? Did he rent hotel rooms in the city? But once again, you got to be able to get the victim out. Now, has it been done? Yes, it has. They are petite. They could easily be folded up into a suitcase and carried out, and nobody would know that a human was inside of a suitcase. So we have to ask those questions. Where were the women murdered? And I think that's going to be the most surprising part of this storyline when he goes to trial. Feel free to hit the link. You are welcome, all new subscribers, old subscribers, unsubscribers. People new to watching the channel. The link is for people to hear your opinion. I put polls up on my community page so I can get an idea of the people who are following my content, your mindset, your thought process. Because one thing the Queen has learned in doing the polls, a lot of you think like these killers. I don't mean to offend you. I'm just calling a spade a spade. This is how you know what's out here when you put the polls up. Is the wife complicit in the murders of these women? Because her hair being found on 3 of the victims is not good. That leads me to think perhaps Mr. Heuermann and his wife and family were living in a nasty house, or there's more to the story. And who's going to tell it? He's claiming innocence. She ain't talking. And has she spoken to her husband since he's been arrested? She's filed for divorce. Will she follow through? What type of relationship did the two have before the arrest? Did they have sexual relations? Did he still have sex with his wife? Did he stay home with the family in the evenings once he got off from work? My spirit makes me think there's more to this job as well as an architect. But people are speaking that they saw him going to work in the building. So I don't know. It's just something's, I don't know, not sitting well with me. Because we have seen people who gotten up, got on the train, the bus to go to work, and they never went to an actual job. It was a farce. It was delusion of going to a job to make somebody else in the house think they had a job. Wouldn't that be interesting if we found out he really wasn't an architect? Sorry. That's just something that's been on my mind. Well, hippie, you should hit the link. You have the option to show yourself or not show yourself during the live stream. You can turn the camera on or turn the camera off. It is your choice. Giving you an opportunity to give your opinion pertaining to Rex Heuermann, his wife, the state of their house, their lifestyle, if he had help in the crimes, how many victims there are total, and where did he commit the murders? And is there more than one serial killer that worked that area at that time? Are we looking at more than one killer? That is a very good question, because people are known to discard bodies in places where other bodies have come up, but that would be very risque to go dump a body or more where other bodies surface, because how do you know someone is not staking out that area to find the killer? That would be very foolish to hear that 3-4 bodies are found and then you decide to start dumping bodies in that area. That wouldn't make any sense. That's why possibly this is one man. He got comfortable. Nobody found a body. Nobody found body 2, body 3, body 4. So he killed them back to back. That's why they all in the same area or a mile or so apart. They probably were killed at a similar time. That's why they're all grouped together. So now you have to ask that question. What was the time frame in the dumping of the bodies? Because he obviously was comfortable, the killer. And he's linked to 4. 7 are remaining. What is the time frame? 1 a week? Every other week? 2 a month? What are we saying? And naturally, you won't get the truth from Mr. Heuermann because he's going to try to fight all evidentiary material, data, terabytes, so on and so forth. But you're not going to be able to explain DNA, hair, your wife's hair on victims. Why would your wife's hair be on dead women? Naturally, he's going to say, or his attorney is going to say, well, yeah, he had sex with them. Yeah, so every woman he had sex with that's a prostitute ended up dead. Stay woke. You can't logically explain that, because you have to think about the odds mathematically. What are the odds that 4 women you had sex with ended up dead in the same place and your wife's hair is on 3 of the victims' bodies? Come on now. Come on now, Mr. Rex. And I'm sure your attorney is going to be just as nasty and vile as Miss Vallow's attorney and Mr. Baez that represented Casey Anthony. You attorneys, you all go to a special school of law where you all just act and speak as vile as your clients. Not nice. I understand you want to produce reasonable doubt, but there's a way of doing things. And when you start to mimic your client, that would lead one to wonder if indeed you have killer tendencies. I'm just saying. The link is a little ways up. Just scroll up, hit the link. This is a very scary subject matter. We know that a lot of men choose prostitutes because they're easy prey. You pull up, she walks to the car, asks you how you doing, what you're looking for. You tell her, she hops in. She has no idea that you are going to kill her once she's inside of the car, or wherever you decide to murder her. She's just thinking of a quick way to get some money, do her deed, and she's done. And I'm sure some of the women working, it crosses their mind that this may be my last trick. I may not get out of here. He might be that one that decides to take my life. And that has to be also a terrible, terrible feeling to even be thinking that you could get hurt, tortured, beat up. That's why you have to be careful when you're in that line of work. And you have to also be careful in the men that you date, the people you fraternize with, and also just being a single woman or a woman, period, or girl You are easy prey just because you're breathing. You do not necessarily have to be a street worker or a woman of the night to get hurt. Just breathing is enough. You're caught slipping and you are now prey. They break in your house, your home. They follow you to work, from work, assault you at jobs. College students walking about, parties, functions. You can be a victim anywhere. And that is what amazes me, how some people think it's always the girl. She's a bad girl. That's why that happened to her. Many women are assaulted, young girls and women, men as well, boys, are assaulted every day by people they know of, neighbors. And they're not into prostitution. They're not into drugs. They weren't breaking the law or doing something illegal. When the devil decides to pay you a visit, he doesn't really care about who you are and what you're about. He's looking for a victim, point blank. That's why I tell you to be aware of your surroundings. And yes, you cannot be so trusting of people, because we all are going to be susceptible to violence. It's just the way it is. You have to have people come to your house to do work, check your cable, your Wi-Fi, your security system. There's nobody there but you. So it's just you and the stranger in your house, or working outside of your house, cutting your grass, the hedges. I need a drink of water. I need to use the restroom. Now he has to come inside unless you say, no, sorry, you can't come in here. I don't let strangers in my house. Then now he's feeling some type of way. May decide to double back. See, you don't know who you're dealing with. Women have been accosted by strangers or acquaintances they knew of, neighbor, as I said, someone doing odd jobs, maybe made a pass. She said, no, thank you. He's gotten an attitude. Now he decides to take it. Or, as I said, doubles back. You don't know people. Being friendly with somebody. And then one day he decides he wants to play funny games. Oh, you're pretty. You look so nice. Sorry, I never told you. And she says, oh, well, thank you, but I just like us to be friends. Now he's offended. Well, why not? I said I like you. What's wrong with me? Now he's become angry. Now she feels threatened, scared of what's about to happen next. That's a terrible place to be in when you see the eyes of the devil and you do not know how you're going to get out of that situation. I do not wish that on anyone. That is a terrible place to be. It's to be turned on in the blink of an eye. And it happens every day to people because you don't know people. One second. I don't understand why you all can't see the link. Oh, here's Miss Bella. Bella Blame.
Hey, girl.
Hey, where you calling me from, sweetie?
I'm calling from Greenville, South Carolina.
Greenville?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, hello. What do you have to say about Mr. Rex Heuermann and all the related information?
All right, let me put this over here. I'm trying to, I got it all plugged up, but this smells better. And I'm normally not this informal, and I look a mess,
But you look okay, sweetheart. I've seen worse. Shut your mouth now.
Okay. What I have to say is, so here's the thing. So I work with the Innocence Project.
Oh, okay.
We're working with a case right now, and I don't want to say what case it is. I'll tell you later. I just don't want to go public with it because
okay, that's fine.
First of all, people don't like people working with the Innocence Project. I only do DNA cases, but there's a serial killer that is out of California. He's on death row. He is never getting out.
Okay.
But we're doing a lot of DNA testing because there were a lot of there was a lot of cases that were dumped, what they call dumping back then, because it was back, I think it was 89. I want to say it was 89 or 90.
Okay.
Well, it was actually 89 when he was arrested, and it was in 90. Anyway, but
Well, explain what dumping means for those who don't know.
So dumping cases is when you do have a serial killer.
Okay.
And you can, if there's other killings that are similar, back then you can't get by with it as much these days, but back then it's what's called dumping. You just dump all these cases and they run them through the court system. And he was charged with 7. He actually was charged. It was first go around with 7, ended up being 12. We know for sure through DNA that he did kill 7, but he's charged with more than that. And so here's the reason, like everyone thinks, you know, my dad is retired officer. He's now passed away. But I come up with law enforcement, and a lot of people don't understand why I work with the Innocence Project. But the thing is a lot of times when these cases have been dumped, there could be a killer next door that actually did some of the other killings, and you don't even know it. You don't even know.
So dumping is what exactly now?
Okay, so dumping is like if you have, say, a serial killer, and they have a lot of cases that are similar, they'll dump them. This was very popular in 2000. They would dump these cases so that it would get off the records.
I don't understand what you mean. Dumping mean like what? Erase?
No, like say like if you know that they did, like we know for sure he did 7. We now have DNA for that.
Okay.
But there's other cases that were dumped, and because he was trying to not get the death penalty, which he did get, they went ahead and added cases that were similar to what he did.
So dumping means adding.
Yes, it means cases that are maybe not been
similar
solved yet, but it's similar, so they'll dump them into that case.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So what you're saying is he is guilty. Is that what you're saying?
He's guilty, yeah. And we're not trying to get him out at all.
Okay.
What we're trying to do is get really my main thing that I'm the best at is being able to get grants for DNA, because the state's not going to test the DNA. They're just, there's not enough money. So anyway, when back to this case, I do feel like from what I've seen, and I've had a lot going on with my own stuff, so I've not been able to keep up. But from what I have seen, I do think he could very likely be involved in more than just what they see right now.
So, there's 7 extra that have been found. So do you believe he's the possible killer of the other 7?
Okay, so the one that we're working with in California, I do.
But I'm talking about Rex Heuermann.
No, with him, what I'm saying with him is that I do feel like what I've seen, and I've not been able to keep up as much, but because I've got so many cases going right now, but what I've seen is I think he could very likely be responsible for more killings, because I did a little bit of research, and there's a lot of familiarity with other cases. And I don't want to be dumped on him, but I do think he's responsible for more than what.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Are you talking about the ones that they found on the beach, in the area, or are you talking about other ones in other cities and locales?
Other ones in other locations.
Okay, because you've got South Carolina now and Nevada on the books, possible. And then they also brought up New Jersey, but then I think a chief or somebody said they don't think he's linked to the 4 homicides in Jersey City.
Okay, well, see, I've not gotten up to date. I felt like the ones in Jersey had a lot of similarities. I'm trying to think, because someone sent me an email. I have to go back and look at it. That said that, and it was actually from someone here in SLED, which is here. It's the law enforcement division, which is right under the FBI. It's like TBI and all that stuff. But that's what SLED is here in South Carolina. So I got an email from a SLED agent. Obviously, I don't want to say his name, but he said that he thought that there was going to be more people coming up that they would probably charge him
as accessories.
Well, that he actually did.
With this case with Mr. Rex?
Yes, with Rex. Right.
Yeah, and that's why I got that in my title. Who else helped? Because if we're going to say that Miss Gilbert, the one who's on the audio, and if we believe that she actually died because they did another autopsy, her family commission one that said she was strangled. She was speaking of other people there present at the time while she was escaping this person, Mike.
Is that not so scary?
Very scary to be on a 911 call and then later found dead. Yes, very scary.
Yeah, that's some scary stuff. But, it breaks my heart because you just wonder what do these girls go through. I mean, it has to be the worst terror of all terrors.
Yeah, just like the girl who's just been found, Miss Vergara. Nobody reported her missing. Why not? It seems like she gave her children up for adoption. She was out there doing her own thing. So she had no friends, nobody who was concerned about her. She obviously had an apartment. Nobody wondered why she wasn't paying rent or ever showed us. Things like that makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to me either, but I'll tell you what I think. Now, I feel like sometimes, listen, I don't judge anybody, but, at all. But I do know that a lot of times people fall in hard times and maybe they have addictions and their families are not in touch with them. And they're the ones that go missing and nobody reports it. Well,
that's what happens when you live in that type of life. Maybe people didn't deal with her or she didn't get along with her family. So she's just, in the world. But still should have some friend that should have been saying to the police, hey, I've been knocking on her door. I've been calling her. I'm just concerned. I haven't heard from her. And the first thing they'll say is, well, when they're grown, people can go do their own thing and not be bothered.
That's what they say. They'll say, well, she's a grown person. If she wants to go missing, she's allowed to go missing. But they really don't take it very serious, even if it's from a friend. Normally it's family. So what I would say to females is, even if you have some addictions or whatever that's going on, still need to stay in touch with a family member. Because if you go missing and you're not in touch with your family, you can go forever. Who knows how long? People don't miss you. It's your family that's going to miss you. So it just makes me sad for them.
What'd you say, honey? I had to step away from it. What'd you say, honey?
It's okay. I was just saying that I would encourage not just females, but everyone to stay in touch with a family member because, the ones that are not in touch with their families, those are the ones that end up going missing that do not get reported. She's went somewhere again. Hang on one second. All right, Miss Queen is handling something apparently.
Okay. I'm back.
Okay.
Yes, I agree that not staying in contact is not good. But some people just don't have those type of connections with people to where we live in a different time now. I can call people, message them, they don't respond. You can't make somebody respond. So let's say if something was to happen to me here and you don't respond, don't ever answer your phone, and nobody else ever calls, nobody ever thinks, well, let me try to figure out where she's at or her home.
That's what
you got to have close ties enough for people to care to even come to your door to say, well, I haven't heard from her in 2 or 3 days. I'm sending somebody over to her house.
Right. And so you're absolutely right, Ms. Queen. You're so right, because I would encourage for everybody to always have that one person, hopefully more than one, but at least one, that will keep an eye on you. Because if you're not in touch with your family, and a lot of people are not, I know, for me, that's hard. For some of us, it's hard to even understand if we're in touch with our families.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that are not. And
yes, they're not. Yeah, because everybody don't have close ties to relatives like other people.
Right. And because a lot of it can sometimes be addiction, and addiction separates families. It separates them. But you know, there should always be someone that should be checking on you. Like, you should always have someone that, you know, if they don't hear from you, then, you know, especially after, say, listen, if I'm not heard from in 2 days, people are calling, like, people are wondering what's going on. So,
Exactly. Well, and also there are people who aren't on drugs and they just don't have close ties to family. There are a lot of people whose families are dysfunctional. They don't get along. People don't, you know, stay in contact. And right now with the social media business, people don't even have your dang telephone number. They just got Messenger and that's it, and IG. That's not enough. You need to have an address where you can go knock on a person's door. You need to know where they work. You need to know how to send authorities to them in case something happens. Facebook is not enough. Right now, somebody goes missing. All you got is Messenger. That's not going to be helpful to the police.
No, it's not. And the thing is, you know, how many times have we seen where other people end up going on and using and acting like they're that person that they just murdered? I mean, yeah, you need to like.
Well, let's talk about that. He has contacted family members, let them know that he was the killer. He used the dead person's phone.
Right.
Because I was wondering at first when I first heard that, how he was able to find them. And now I know why. He had their phones. That's very creepy.
Yeah, he had that one girl's phone, and or maybe more than one, but I know he did have one girl's phone. And I think he called like a sister and a mother, I think. I know that he made phone calls because it really freaked the family out. I mean, that's like a whole different kind of.
Yeah, because my thing was, how is he finding these people to contact them? Because this is back in the time when we didn't have no social media and all that, so you could easily just probably look somebody up by information through the phone book, because that's when we had home phones. So he could have read in the paper her sister's name, you know, Bobby Joe something. Well, let me go look up Bobby Joe, blah blah blah. But it's even more creepy using a dead person's phone.
Oh,
I don't know where my family member is, and now the killer is calling me from their damn phone.
That is, like I say, that is a whole different kind
He's
of.
cocky. He's cocky. He's arrogant.
Yes.
Just like in that video, I played the clip during the live today of him talking to that YouTuber, and he's talking about using a hammer. He says, "Oh, yes, I use this special hammer for all my jobs." Yeah, are you speaking of your victims?
Yeah, oh my God.
Think about that now. Just think about that for a minute. Nobody knew he was killing back then when he did the video. So he's sitting there talking about using a special tool for his woodworking jobs. I think he's talking about the women.
Yeah, that's so scary to me.
Because the guy's laughing. You're not talking about a person, are you? That's what the host is saying. You're talking about, you know, a thing. You're hitting a thing. Yeah, he's probably talking about a thing and a human.
Right. That's exactly right. Exactly. I mean, a lot of them, that's how they, like, they're just sick in the head, obviously.
Yeah, he needs an audience. He needed an audience.
That's exactly what they want. That's normally what they want. And so, just like with the one I'm working with now in California, he constantly wants us to put him on TV. Well, we're not going to put him, I'm not going on TV with him because I don't want people think I'm not representing him.
But have you done his DNA? Have you all ran his DNA against the victims?
We have.
And does he match?
It matches 7 of them, but he's charged with more than that. And the other one is not a.
But then what the hell does he want to talk about on TV?
Well, I want to tell you this one so bad who it is. He had a co-defendant or a co-conspirator. And she's now passed away.
See, a woman. See, there we go. I just talked about that during this live. There are women who go along with it. They use women to get other women.
That's exactly what she did. Girl, that's exactly what she did.
I just met somebody recently, and I don't understand why they are with a woman and they're asking me, I'll go ahead and say this on the live stream, why they were wanting me to meet with them, what was it, last night to come out? And I thought, I said it to the person, I said, well, don't you have a friend, a lady friend? Oh, yeah, she's here, everything's good. But it's like, well, why are you wanting me? You have my number, you're talking to me, because he knows that I'm a YouTuber. He's like, why don't you come out? And it just seems weird to me because it's like, wouldn't another woman be jealous of you talking to a woman and asking that woman to come out? Because we're not talking YouTube business when you say, do you want to come out? So this girl I was talking to today earlier, this lady, she says, well, if I were you, she said, I definitely wouldn't meet him anywhere private.
No.
Yeah, because, you know, we have a very sick case of a young Hispanic girl who was found murdered the 30th of July. She was dumped at a park on a walking trail, and there are 4 suspects that have been arrested, and the one who shot her is now out on bond. And I have a problem with the district attorney because she's always on TV, you know, talking about fighting crime and trying to get the heroin and fentanyl off the street. But then why is this guy walking with a fucking bond?
Okay,
Shot this girl. They all in cahoots because they helped carry her out and put her in a car and concealed her body in a blanket. This is very scary to me. How do you get other people to go along with a crime? So that's why I said this would be scary if we find out he was in cahoots with law officials and they went along with these sex games or something. Had helpers, and also his wife, her hair on 3 of the victims. You can't explain that.
Okay, but that's what a friend of mine was saying that he heard you say, and I was like, I hadn't heard that part. So
yeah. I didn't either. I knew about one hair of hers. This article I just read said 3 victims, just one.
Oh my God. Okay, that is really scary.
Three women. That's a lot of women.
That's a lot. Like one's enough.
Yeah, one's enough to say, okay, he hugged his wife and then he went out into the street and then picked up the lady. But 3 women.
Yeah, you can like kind
No.
of find something with one, but 3, no.
This might be why they keep saying he may have killed them at the house. I believe that's where that's coming from. The 3 hairs or her hair on those 3 victims. This is why they keep talking about maybe he killed them at the house, but she wasn't there. And that's why I kept saying, well, I don't understand where they're taking this. What do you mean she wasn't there? She lived there. So what are you saying? You have to have information to even think that they were killed. And maybe this is the information, her hair on the victims. They were in her house.
Wow. That's scary. That's
very scary.
Yeah. Because like I said, like we were saying, like if it's just one person, if it was one, you could think, well, it was transferred off of something he wore, whatever. But 3, no. That is really strange. Like, and now that you're saying,
you also got to ask yourself why they were dumped in the locations they were on this stretch of beach and miles apart. There's a reason for that. See, there's a reason for everything. There's a reason for the victims. Yes. There's a reason for the location. There's a reason for the camouflage burlap. There's a reason for the dismemberment. I believe he also cut them up.
I think there's going to be so much that's going to come out of this. But I'll tell you something else now that we're talking about this. I did find it really odd. I found it really odd that she has already filed divorce because I've seen other cases.
I know.
And they don't file immediately like that. Now, I mean, I would, but it's rare. So I just wonder if maybe she is involved and she's trying to
distance herself. Okay, but guess what? Imagine this. You filed for divorce as soon as he got arrested, but yet you're not talking to the police.
Yeah.
But you're not talking to the police. Why not?
Right. Exactly. She said she had no comment. As far as I know, like I said, I'm not up to date as today.
One of the recent articles or news briefs said, if I'm not mistaken, she's not talking to law enforcement. Why not?
Exactly.
They need all the information they can on this man and your relationship and what your life was like with him. Why would you not want to tell the police that?
Right. Why would you not? Like these are people that have been murdered horrifically. Why would you not come forward? Be an open book for whatever they need.
Have you seen their house? Have you seen the pictures from the house?
I did see. Yes.
So you want me to believe they ransacked the house that was hoarded up?
Right. Exactly. No, I found that extremely odd. And then the other thing that you were talking about, as far as like, she probably was the type, because she did look very poor. Like what I've seen her, no makeup, which I understand, but no makeup. She looked like if I seeing her on the street. She's like,
no
ooh,
bra, no
me-
brassiere. Every time they've shown her, she does not have on a bra.
which is odd.
Yes.
Very. So
I
then-
understand if I go outside to walk the dog, yes, I don't have to put a bra on just to let him poo-poo outside at the corner of the grass. But
anything
you're letting your dog poop. Did she poop or scoop? You know, I'm just crazy like that.
I'm the same way.
I don't think they care about anything. I think they were just fly-by-nighters. They were just breathing. They're just breathing creatures. They didn't give a damn about their children. They didn't buy things, shop like normal people. I don't think they probably went to events like normal people. They didn't invite people over because most hoarders don't invite people to their house because nobody wants to be in that type of situation. Right. And that's why he was able to go out here and do what he was doing. He went out at night and circumnavigated victims, preyed on women. He came back, laid in there with her, and that was that. That was their existence. She did whatever she did during the day with whatever that stuff they said she was into, comics or something she was into. I found that was strange. Yeah. That's strange to me.
That was odd.
Grown ass, old ass woman, 60-year-old woman.
Right. Like, what are you doing?
Because she didn't have a life. Because she didn't have a life.
Right. Well, here's another thing. Okay, so I'm just drawing similarities. So this case, I'm going to just go ahead and tell it. It's Sunset Killer. Sunset Serial Killer is the one I'm not trying to get him out. We're never getting him out. I'm just trying to figure out who the DNA for the other cases so that whoever is responsible for those are is handled legally. But what he did is he had an accomplice.
Okay.
Her last name is Bundy, but she's not related to Ted Bundy.
Okay. But
she passed away. You can Google all this. There's so many documentaries on these too. But she passed away in the Department of Corrections. But the reason he was able to get to a lot of these women was because of her. She was the one that would bring them.
Yeah, he used her though.
He used her, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure he used her. Mm-hmm. And she foolishly went along. Because remember the first case that we heard of a woman being used to lure women was that case out of Canada. It was a young couple. He used the girlfriend to pick up women, and he would drug the women and put things in their drinks. I think he even drugged her sister.
Yes, you're right.
He would rape them. He would rape the women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do remember that. I can't think of the name right now, but I know you're talking
about. That was back in the 90s.
Yeah, I was going to say, right.
So you don't know people. You have no idea the people out here that you meet and greet. You know, we have seen the stories so many times of people, women married to sadists, rapists, serial killers, dated them. Some of the killers, rapists, they do have wives, they do have girlfriends. Bundy, he had a girlfriend, but Bundy also exhibited violent tendencies and she still stayed with him. So, there was an incident they mentioned recently that I never had heard of where he had put her face, I think, underwater. They were on a lake in a boat.
About that.
And he had held her underwater, and I still believe she stayed with him after that. See, that right there, I understand that many women still will stay and date a guy who's been abusive, and one would say, well, what's the difference between him hitting you and putting your face underwater? You're right, there is no difference, but
it's a mental thing.
Drowning, you're talking about somebody trying to drown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the flip side is it really is no difference between you hitting me or choking me.
No, it's not. And meanness and cruelty is one and the same.
Yeah.
However
he was showing her what he was made of then.
Right.
She probably just ignored it, probably was scared to death.
Right.
But how would you be able to go back home with a person after getting out of a boat and they just held your head underwater?
I mean, right. I mean, what is the, that reminds me of, Natalie Woods. I still think, I can't think of his name right this minute.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure a lot of people think he had something to do with her death.
I totally think he did. 100% I think he did. But it was said that he had put her head under the water, not even once, and she was afraid of water.
Yeah. See, I would never get on a boat. If I'm afraid of water, I'm not going on a boat. I'm afraid of water, so I'm not going on a boat. That's one thing I don't have to ever worry about. Somebody saying, hey, Queen, you want to go ride on a boat? You want to go? No, I ain't going on a boat. I don't even do the riverboat trips that everybody goes on in the summertime. you know, they get dressed up and go on that boat. I was asked to go a month or two ago. Hey, you want to go? No, I don't. I said, because just my luck, the captain is drunk, high, and he hits one of them damn pillars from the bridge, and that damn thing starts sinking, and everybody be laying up under the damn water, floating back up 2 days later. No, thank you.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you what, you know, you're so funny. I so adore you.
Thank you, sweetheart.
But you know, you were talking earlier about someone asking like for you to meet up with them and his girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah, because I met him the other night. Friday night I went out, right?
Oh, okay.
I met him with a young lady. And what was weird then, you know, it's that he offered to buy me a drink. And I told him I was okay. And I had told this other young lady, I said, well, maybe that guy could buy you a drink or whatever, because he's buying drinks. He's offering to buy drinks. Gotcha. And then I later found out he had asked her friend to buy a drink, which is strange to me. Why would you be asking strange women you do not know, can you buy them a drink when you're with a woman? I just find that kind of rude.
Yeah, see, and me as a woman, if my guy was saying, no. But, you know, you're beautiful and you're very girly. Like, I could see like someone targeting you, like seeing you and be like, she's so pretty, you know, they want to.
But I was thinking, what if it's the sinister side? He's trying to find somebody to go along with whatever type of games they got going. It could be menage a trois, and then it could be something sinister. My thing is, you're not going to know until you get in that situation, and you can't get out of it.
Right.
And it's not to be, you know, mean and say he's that type of guy, but I don't know him. I don't know that girl he was with. And I just find it strange. You're trying to buy women liquor when you're with a woman. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's strange to me. My thing is this. Look, he's not even from here. He's not even from Tennessee. He's from somewhere else. So you want me to believe that's not odd? You're coming into a strange bar you've never been in. Right. You're offering strange women as soon as you make eye contact. Hey, you want a drink? Hey, you want a drink? And you're in there with another woman. That's strange to me.
No, that's strange to me too. And I'll tell you something else is, you know, you have to always watch. You always got to watch your drinks because.
Yeah. Well, they don't make singular drinks like a bar. You'd have to buy it in a bottle. But I still think it's odd.
Yeah.
You would want to buy a strange woman, even whether it's a bottle or in a glass, a drink, and you just walked in with a woman. I'm telling you, they just got in the bar, sat down, and he's looking around, makes eye contact. You say hello, he says hello, and it's, hey, you want a drink? Now, maybe he's just a friendly guy. He's got money to throw around because, you know, there are a lot of men like that. They like to, you know, show up. He could be that type of guy. I think it's because I'm cynical. I will claim that I just said to myself, I don't know about this. And I did, you know, I just told him point blank the other night. I said, I just trying to understand you trying to meet me somewhere out to go out clubbing or whatever when you have a female friend. That's also strange to me.
Yeah. No, no, you're very intuitive, and because of being on here, like you've seen a lot of crazy stuff.
Yes, I have.
People are crazy. And I'm so glad that you're very observant and aware.
But you have to be. You know, I'm going to be truthful with you. It's just like today, 3 people showed up near to my apartment door. Mm-hmm. They knocked at this dizzy broad's door on the other side of me. Okay. They were gone, I guess, out of town or gone somewhere with their kids. Then they knocked on my door. This is what's crazy to me. My spirit told me earlier, put your big sunburst mirror in the window. Okay. Just listen. My spirit said, put your sunburst mirror in that window. So one day when you decide to open the blinds, nobody can see straight through the apartment, right? What are the odds an hour later, couldn't even been an hour, I've got 3 strange people banging on my door. And when I go to that window from the kitchen, because I see the guy sitting on the step with a toddler, the lady, she's Hispanic, she's banging on both of the doors. When I go out of the kitchen from looking at him sitting on the step, she is standing looking through my fucking window.
Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
So imagine coming out your kitchen from looking at him. And then you go to the window. She's sitting there, standing there looking through my fucking apartment window.
Whoa.
And I was like, why is she standing there? So guess what? I went kindly up, closed the blinds. I started yelling, you got the wrong door.
Dang,
I go back to the kitchen window, look back out, and I see now 2 women. I thought it was just one. So now we're talking about 3 people with a toddler. What the fuck are you all looking for?
Exactly.
And then one of them had a plastic bag that looks like something that a package would come in, like you order from FedEx or something like that. So I thought, why is she holding an empty plastic bag? It was very strange.
Do you know what? Did you ever see what was in it?
I don't know, sweetheart. I'm inside my apartment looking out of a window.
Listen, if it's something in a plastic bag, that's probably because they don't want fingerprints. Girl, I'm just as cynical as you are.
Okay, so what I'm saying to myself, I know what's going on with this Trick and her boyfriend upstairs. Okay, I don't have to go into details, but I know what they're doing. So my thing is, how do I know? One, you didn't send them over here to my apartment looking for to do something to see if I was home. 2, they've done something and those people came looking. It's something that's fucked up.
Yeah, something.
Because she's been gone all day today. She was gone all day yesterday. They were up banging and banging and banging yesterday morning. And then they left yesterday morning. And she's been gone, her, the boyfriend, and the kids, all day yesterday night. And they didn't get back until just now. Maybe less than an hour ago.
No, there was something up with that.
I know.
100%.
But guess what? You don't know Queen.
What?
Because let me tell you something. As soon as she was standing there looking through the window and I closed them blinds and I said, you got the wrong damn door, they hurt and got up that fucking sidewalk.
Good for you.
They got up that side and you didn't hear nothing like, okay, sorry, we were looking for, don't you find that strange? The people wouldn't say, hey, I'm looking for Pookie, Susie.
Right. They would have
said, that lets you know they had to be up to something. Right. Because the average person is going to say once they hear you respond, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking for such and such.
No, girl, they were up to no good. I'm certain. Because, like you say, they would have said, well, we're whatever. And them scattering, hell no. Girl, they were up to no good. I'm certain. I'm so glad that you're.
And that's probably, and let me tell you something, that's probably why her ass was gone for a whole day and a half.
Yeah.
Because who knows what they've done. And the people came looking. I don't know. See, I don't even know what's going on. But guess what? My spirit told me late last night. I just had a weird feeling because I had weird dreams. Something was saying, you need to be very careful of this area where you're living, this young couple upstairs, because I know what they're doing. My spirit was just telling me to be careful because, I got nothing but windows. I'm on a ground level. Anybody could just break in. And I find that funny. That was on my mind before going to sleep. And then here I am. I'm putting this mirror in this fucking window for some weird reason. And then somebody is standing there an hour later.
Your spirit was telling you what to do. And I'm glad you listened. I'm so glad you listened. But yeah, they had no clue that they were knocking on. They had no clue that they were outside Queen's window. Come on. Like outside her door. But no, girl, they were.
And why would you be walking around to look in the window? If you're knocking on 2 different doors, that would make me think you don't know who you're looking for. So how do you go from knocking on 2 different doors to then walking around the side of the building looking through the window?
No, girl, that they were up to no good. 100% up to no good. You better be making sure you lock your. And I know you are, but you better make sure you keep locking your doors because it don't matter where we live, what state.
Exactly. Anybody can be a victim, and that's what I've said all the time. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You do not have to be a sex worker. You do not have to be a prostitute. You do not have to be on drugs. You do not have to be out here breaking the law. When the devil decides he wants to come to your door, he will come.
Oh, the devil, and he don't care. Like he's going everywhere he can. So he's just looking for an opportunity. And a lot of times people that do have money, they feel like they're more secure and they don't pay attention.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it can happen to anybody, anywhere. I do think as the sex workers, they do, they do end up getting caught up in this stuff more. But there's a lot of stuff. Just no one's immune. We've had women.
People need to realize that. I still see people saying, I don't lock the door. I don't do this. Just like I went to some people's house the other day. I had took some food by their house. that was Friday morning. They live in a really nice area. And I went and pressed the doorbell. It rang. You know, they've got the little doorbell camera, all that.
Right.
I walked right in. The SUV, she had her SUV back door open with drinks and stuff in the back. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, you all are too comfortable.
Right. They are. And that's what happens. So this literally what you just said reminds me so much of my daughter. I have a daughter and she just bought a house and stuff. She's bad to not lock her door. It worries me so bad. And you would think growing up with me and, you know, her growing up, not me, but her growing up with my, you know, her mom, like what I do, with my dad, with what he did, that she'd be aware. You would think that, but I
yeah, but she lives in a small town, don't she?
Well, it's small, but we actually live in the bigger part of what a small. We're in between, like so. Greenville is in between Charlotte, North Carolina, and between Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
But we're like the bigger space in between. Yeah. So, but anyway, she's not. She scares me because then she calls me and she's like, "Well, Mom, someone broke in my car." Okay, this is at her house, and I said, "How'd they break in your car?" And she's like, "Well, I mean, they didn't steal anything. They went through my glove box and left everything out." I said, "Well, was your doors unlocked?" Yes. I was like, "Don't even talk to me." I was so mad. I was like, "Don't even talk to me right now."
And leaving your valuables a lot of people have this bad. You buy stuff, you don't take it out of your car, you leave it on the back seat. I don't leave anything out. I try my best not to leave anything out that a person can steal. Even though I had a few weeks ago, because I was, you know, house cleaning and getting rid of stuff. And so it might be in the back compartment, but I got tinted windows back that you can't see what's back there. And the back windows are tinted, but the point still remains. Anybody can walk by your car if they're looking to see if you've got anything that they think is of value, bags. They don't know what's in the bags, travel bags, shopping bags. It could be dirty clothes, but they're not going to know that until they break the damn window out.
Exactly. And the
point is they will do it.
Yes. And the thing is Ainsley normally has like her laptop. She normally.
Oh my God. I hear that so many times. Why do people keep leaving their laptops in their car?
She normally does. That is like, she got so lucky. That is like the night she actually didn't. Any other night, they would have taken her laptop. And then she doesn't security pass it very well. Like, I ain't gonna go into that. You know, and as a mother, there's nothing I can do. Like, I'm always on her and I annoy her, but you know, it's just that generation. It's like, they just don't understand.
How old is she? How old is your daughter?
She's 26.
Oh yeah, still young.
I mean, you would think at 26 you would know better, but no, she doesn't. So it worked. She scares me. She's so scared. Oh, and I don't know if you knew, but if you heard about this, but Greenville, we had a serial killer here.
Mm-hmm.
And so my daughter, when she graduated from Clemson, but when she was at Clemson, she would come and work at Wild Wings just to make extra money on Wednesdays. Well, lo and behold, the serial killer, which we didn't know was a serial killer. His name is Todd something. It'll come to me in a minute. He's from Spartanburg, which is right beside Greenville.
I know about Spartanburg. My first college crush, he was from Spartanburg. He's not alive now, but.
Oh, so you know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so this is the guy that he had the girl locked up on his property, chained to what do you call it? Like a industrial container.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so when my daughter would come home on Wednesday nights, she was always out of gas. Always. Like, it didn't matter what we gave her because she had an allowance. But anyway, so I would go and park up there and wait for her to come out every Wednesday night. And lo and behold, she saw the news and calls me, and she's like just beside herself. And she's like, "Oh my God, Mom, have you seen about the serial killer?" I was like, "Where?" And I had to turn it on. And she's like, "That's Todd. That's Todd. He comes every Wednesday night and always requests to sit in my area." And she's like, he would always tip me $30-$40 every Wednesday night. And lo and behold, that was a serial killer here.
Wow.
You would think that would teach her, but
so how long ago was that? How long ago was that?
That was like, I want to say 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's steep.
Yeah, if you were to Google and just put South Carolina serial killer, it's Todd. I cannot.
Well, how many people did he kill?
So they found. I know they found 3 people on his lot, plus the girl that was locked up.
You're talking about the guy that had the storage facility,
Yeah.
and it was a couple he killed. He killed the people at the auto body shop. I know exactly who you're talking about.
That's him. That's
exactly who you're talking about.
something. Yeah, and he's from Spartanburg.
And nobody had any idea he had killed those people. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's Todd. The last name is right here, but I can't. It's not coming to me. But what is it?
Because there was a couple. There was a couple that he held hostage.
Cohab.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Isn't that amazing how you can start talking about somebody and a person knows who you're speaking about?
Right. Yeah. But he
and everybody was clueless because this was a very small area where he lived.
Yeah.
And all that time he was walking by, nobody knew who the killer was of the people that he shot at the auto body place.
At the auto body place, I'm gonna tell you what breaks my heart about that is they blamed this woman that was pregnant that worked there. They blamed her husband. He had nothing to do with it. So they went through all these years of being dismissed in the community and looked horrible. And so yeah, but no one knew about that. He got caught for the stuff on his phone. Yeah.
Because you don't know people. That's the whole point.
You don't. But so the couple that came out, they came out to clean his house. They were cleaning houses for him because he was a realtor.
It's very scary. Then when you see the property, they showed the inside of the place where he had her. It's in the middle of nowhere. Nobody would ever think to be out there looking and lurking and looking for a victim or a hostage. You just wouldn't.
You would never. And yeah, I mean, when they found her, and look this up because it's really heartbreaking, but they show, because it's on the, the cameras, that when they went out, they heard her and she was screaming.
Yeah.
She was literally tied up like a dog.
Yeah.
Literally. And they show where they're cutting it off and they can hear. It's just so sad. And that was her boyfriend that was murdered.
Yeah. He killed the boyfriend.
Yeah. And he kept her because he was raping her every day.
Yeah. Yeah, he wanted her.
Right.
That's why he kept her alive.
So there was 3 bodies found on the property, and then plus her. And then they found, he was then found guilty, which he bragged about, killing the ones at the motorsports.
That's scary. That's so scary.
And to see him and his okay, there's another thing. You got to look this up. His mother did an interview. I think it was with 60 Minutes. I'm almost positive if it was 60 Minutes, it's 48 hours. I'm almost positive 60 Minutes here in Green, like the U.S. use 60 Minutes, not Australia. But so she did an interview with them, and she was trying to stand by him, but at the same time, she was like, "Hey, babe, I'm looking at the information." And I mean, so she was like, "It's my son," and she's trying to process all this, and then she literally died right after that interview. And so he has no one for him because he doesn't have any children or anything. But when his mother died, that was it. But I felt so bad because she, at the end of the 60-minute interview, she said she was apologizing to the families and said, "If he did this, I'm so sorry that my son did this." Like, she was such a sweet, and she's a much older lady. But it's just, you would never think. You would never think he was capable of this.
But that's the whole point of a sadist.
It is.
That they have to have somewhere to sleep. They have to have somewhere to live. They work somewhere.
Right. And
so they may have some quirky ways, odd behavior, say things out of the way, but it doesn't mean necessarily you in your mind you're saying to yourself, "Oh yeah, I bet that's a serial killer. Oh yeah, I bet that's a rapist." You know what I'm saying? And and sometimes there's some people who say some things you that might cross your mind. Like, yeah, I bet that guy would take advantage of a woman. And you know what I mean? They seem overly sexed because I'm very leery of men who are overly sexed. You know, they're always talking about sex. That's their only conversation. That's weird to me. You don't have anything else to talk about? Trying to get with a woman, pick up a woman.
Right. No,
that's a sign to me there's something wrong with you mentally.
Well, it's weird. It's disrespectful. It's
very disrespectful.
Yeah.
Very disrespectful.
But no, I can totally see you being somewhere and someone coming in because, like I say, you're very girly. You're very beautiful. Like I can see them.
Thank you.
You and like let's see if we can let's see what she's got going on.
Yeah, right. And that's the whole point is that you don't know the motivation behind a simple hello, you look nice, would you like a drink? You don't know. Because those things have to lead somewhere. How you doing? You know, I told him I was a YouTuber. You know, we exchanged numbers, whatever, right there in front of the girl, no problem. And then next thing you know, when I messaged him Saturday, he was out shopping. She was right there with them. We were talking, but it was just, I don't know, it's just strange because his texts were like, how you doing, sexy, things like that. That's just weird to me.
Yeah. Well, you're very perceptive. You're very perceptive, and I'm proud of you for being that way because you've seen a lot. So you are aware.
Yeah, I mean, look at what I talk about every day. How could I not be? I watch everything going on where I live. I look at all the people getting in and out of their cars. I look at you if you're sitting in a car. I'm watching everything. So
I'm doing the same thing.
I just pray for my safety. You know that nobody tries anything. You know where I'm living or whatever, but I don't put anything past people because I know that especially when you get bad blood with people, that could be their initiative to say, well, let's try to do something. Let's try to. I just don't trust people, and that's just the way it is. I'm not gonna be one of those people that sit by and say, well, ain't nobody gonna do nothing to me. Right. I'm not that stupid.
No, and I'm gonna tell you something else. You do need to be careful because you are a YouTuber, and you don't. I mean, people get fixated on YouTubers. Like
yes, they do. In a very sick manner. Yes, they do. That's very true.
And the thing is they can do it, and you have no clue that they're doing it or even who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want you to be very careful, which clearly you are. But with you being a YouTuber, yeah, I could. People, they'll come on here and they can get fixated on people, and it's really scary to be honest. But you're brave and you're good and you're doing good work and you're spreading such good information.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so kindly. I try.
You know how.
There's a case right now. I haven't decided if I want to talk about it on the network, but it's bothering my spirit about a young girl who was just found in a park on a trail. And I have to be careful about what I say and don't say because all of the people involved in the crime are from the area. So, when you start talking about certain things, people can see.
You have to be careful. Yeah.
People see it shared over here, over there at this platform. And all it takes is, I could be out one day and somebody walk up and be like, are you the YouTuber? And I could be like, yeah. They could blow my brains out all over something I've said on the channel about their stinking ass relative that killed somebody. You know what I'm saying? Because you just don't know people.
You don't. And here's another thing, Queen. Here's another thing. So the way I found you through AB.
Okay, AB, yeah.
Yes. And so a lot of people, let's just say for instance, AB, can restream your stuff. So it's not just like people that see you here on your platform. When you're restreamed onto other platforms, then it's even more
yeah.
And you just don't know who these people are. And
well, you don't. That's why as I said, you have to be careful. And I tell people this all the time, period. When you're on social media, you have to be very careful what you say, what you comment on, because people get offended very easily. And we have people who are walking time bombs, and they don't have any problem with popping off. They, will try to find you. They'll probably try to friend you, all of that. And then next thing you know, you're somewhere minding your business and you got somebody trying to blow your damn brains out over a fucking comment on Facebook or whatever.
And you're right. It could be like the least tiniest thing,
yeah.
And yet they get fixated on it. And as YouTubers, you know, here's another thing I don't like about YouTube is they don't really. Okay, you know, I know you know this, but you know, there's always metadata, and it's so easy to find out anything and everything on people through metadata. It's so quick and easy. And so, yeah, if you are a YouTuber, you know, you do a lot of good. You do a lot of good. You bring a lot of awareness, but you know, you also just always be aware because the metadata can tell people things you may not even realize it's telling them.
Okay. Such as what?
Well, it gives IP addresses.
Yeah, we know that. We know that. Yeah, IP.
But it also gives it gives addresses. It gives phone numbers.
Okay.
You get all this off of metadata.
So how would somebody get the metadata?
They can literally, okay, I'm gonna tell you what, they can literally come on here and with you going live, they can just do a snapshot and they can take their snapshot and run metadata off of that, which will link everything back to where all your information.
Wow, I never knew that. I thought.
And listen, never open anything.
I thought something else. Huh?
Never open any emails up because you know Grabify is on fire right now. Everybody's doing Grabify right now. Don't ever open anything.
Wait, slow down. They're doing what?
Grabify.
I don't know what that is.
Grabify is if you want to grab someone's IP address, which gives them direct metadata.
Okay. I don't get into all that because I'm not interested. You know what I'm saying? I don't get social media to where I'm trying to find people and worry about where somebody lives. I don't care for that because I feel like you're going down a very slippery slope when you are just so fascinated with trying to find somebody or where they live to do what exactly? Because in the end, you're as I said, you're a slippery slope to where you are stalking. That's what you're doing. And I'm not getting ready to get arrested for trying to figure out where somebody lived to say, oh, yeah, he live over there. This is his card, his tag number. This. I don't care about stuff like that.
No, you wouldn't. That's not who you
are.
I would.
Yeah, but I know there are other people that do it. I've seen what they do on YouTube. Right. I know what they do on YouTube.
So I was on someone's panel, and I've not been on anyone's panel in a long time because I started getting death threats, all because of me being with the Innocence Project. And it was all back to the metadata. But, you know, I feel like, you know, I'm kind of like that girl.
Well, is this your real name that's up here?
Bella. Yeah, it's Bella Blaine.
That's your real name?
Yes, Bella's my real name.
I mean, the Blaine, is that your real name too?
Blaine is part of my last name.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't put that up there. I've told people, don't ever put your name up on the channel.
Yeah, well, the Blaine part is only part of my last name. It's not my whole last name.
Okay, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't put that part up there.
Well, I feel like you. It's kind of like, you know, when you put stuff out there, you just, you know, you're doing it for good. You just keep being aware and.
Well, I do, and I try to be aware, and I, you know, but like I said, I know how easily people get offended by things, you know, you talk about on, you know, social media pages and things, and all it takes is the one time you make a emoji, say something, and next thing you know, somebody trying to find you, trying to get close to you, get in your inbox, and it goes from there.
They'll be mean, and I mean, people. Listen, I've never seen anything like the craziness and rudeness and harshness as what I've seen on true crime.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting. This is what you're trying to tell people is that a lot of the people who comment and talk about true crime, they are borderline the people in the story, and nobody has put that together yet for some weird reason. The people commenting in the chat, the people commenting on the Newsbreak articles, they are 2 minutes away from being in the same predicament.
They are.
Because they're unhinged. They don't have any self-control. They're impulsive. And that's exactly the people that you're talking about in the story.
Right. And
same qualities.
It is. And it's a fine line to where they're
exactly. Exactly. And a lot of people don't realize that because I was looking at a story the other day of something that's just happened here in Knoxville. And I went back and found the young lady. I think I found her. If indeed she's the person who's involved in this news story. 2 years ago in June, she makes a comment on Facebook and says, y'all so quick to want to get a body. I guess talking about, killing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now she's being charged with attempted second-degree murder.
What?
So imagine, because it's in the scripture, be very careful what you speak, because you can claim it.
Because you can
So
claim
if indeed she's the person, 2 years ago, she was telling other people on Facebook, you all want a body so bad. Basically like saying, people like to brag about, killing. And now she's accused of trying to kill a man. The other day.
It's that fine line. It's that fine line.
I don't know what happened between this lady and this guy, but I was on news break earlier today, and somebody says they were talking about the story about the girl who was just murdered and taken out of an apartment by these 3 or 4 people, right? So she compared that story to this lady's story. She says, yeah, just like that lady that tried to kill her roommate, she killed him over a Hot Pocket. He ate the last Hot Pocket. And I had to comment. I said,
that's crazy.
Where did you get that version from? Because I haven't heard anything about the story or version of this woman and why she, tried to kill this man or what it told her. I didn't know if they were just trying to be cynical and crack a joke, a real bad joke.
Right. It sounds like a joke when you say.
Yeah, it does sound like a joke. A Hot Pocket. Yeah, because she was comparing the story of the person that the lady who was locked in a basement because the guy wanted a hamburger. Excuse me. So they were comparing that story to that one, and I thought, a Hot Pocket. I gotta wait to see what I can hear.
Yeah, girl, you gotta keep us updated on that because that's crazy.
Yeah, because I don't think it was over Hot Pocket.
Yeah, girl.
It could be, but I hadn't heard anything yet because I've posted to other social media sites, and I haven't heard anybody comment to say, well, this happened, that happened. Because a lot of people don't even comment on my stuff anyway. But I am curious to why this guy was shot or whatever. I don't know. I'm not hearing anything. So
okay. Well, you don't have to tell me. Do you want to say what state it's in?
What state?
Mm-hmm.
It's in Tennessee.
In Tennessee. Okay. Yeah. Because again, I'm kind of out of the loop on stuff. Tennessee has got so much stuff going on lately, it seems.
Yeah, we have. I must say here, as of in this past week, Knoxville has been very busy with crime. And as I said, the one story that's bothering me is of a young girl who was shot in an apartment, and they carried her out in a blanket and dumped her in a park across town. And it's just the way they did her is just so fucked up. But 2 of the people told who shot her. But my thing is, why even tell? Because you never called police when they shot her, when the guy shot her, and then you moved out your apartment the next day.
Yeah, well, there's also, I think there's like a 20 or 21-year-old girl that's gone missing in Tennessee. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
No, I haven't.
But no, Tennessee has got a lot of, I don't know, obviously we all know about Summer Wells case.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of the Summer Wells case that people are focusing more on Tennessee. But it just seems like Tennessee is.
Well, there's a lot of crime in Memphis. Memphis has a lot of crime.
Memphis is big.
Memphis is a horrible place. Mm-hmm. Every day in the queue, the U2 queue, there is just the most horrific stories of robbery, assault, kidnapping. It's just like every time you turn around, somebody's being robbed, murdered, shot. I've just never seen anything like it.
Well, I did see that Memphis. I guess it was about 4 weeks ago. I was, because there was all this stuff coming out of Tennessee, and so I just went in and looked up to see the amount of crime, per county. Mm. And Memphis came up as number. I think it was number one. If it wasn't number one, it's number 2. I'm almost positive it was number 1.
What, Memphis?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I would say number 1.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it was number. If it wasn't number 1, it's number 2. But I'm pretty sure it said number.
Yeah. Well, Memphis is bigger than any city.
Right,
It's
it
the
is.
first biggest city. Then it's Nashville. Then it's Chattanooga.
Yes.
Then it's Knoxville. Then Johnson City.
Yes. I mean, Tennessee's pretty big. I mean,
Yeah, it's a wide state. It's a long state.
yeah, it is. It's a very long state. Yeah, and while we're talking about Tennessee, I'm trying to refrain from mentioning something. I don't know if I can just say it. You know, because we've got all this stuff with the Upchurch going on, and his cousin is a close friend of mine, and I've spoken with him, and anyway, that's a whole mess right there, like a whole damn mess. But I'm not getting involved with it because I think he's just acting a fool, so he gets what he gets. So
okay,
I don't know if you're familiar, but he's being sued by Kylie Rodney's parents right now. Yeah, he deserves it though. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm friends with him. He deserves it. Being an idiot, like, be responsible. Anyway, I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole, as they say. But girl, you are so informative.
Well, thank you. I asked for you all's prayers because these demons, they up now. You would think when people come in from wherever the hell they've been for 2 days, 2 nights, or whatever, they'd find their ass something to do. But you know, the devil is busy. I tell you, I'm 2 minutes from rechecking myself into a hotel.
Oh, really?
I would. I'd live in a hotel right now with the quickness.
Oh,
I would. I could honestly say I believe I'd feel safer living in a hotel.
Well, we need to handle this because you need to feel safe where you live.
Yeah, I just don't like, where I'm at. It was a quick place, to get into, under the circumstances, because right now the housing market is so terrible right now in this area. And I'm just, I won't out like ASAP. I got to get out because I don't, especially after today's events, with all that,
with all that
strange people. I don't know who they were or what they were looking for. I don't have time for that because at some point I have to leave my house and I have to, know it's going to be safe to leave my place unattended. And you just don't know people. So, I don't know these people around here. I mean, I haven't had any problem except for this one dizzy ass chick. She's a real nasty bitch. And I'm trying my best to hold my composure so I don't end up getting myself in a really bad situation. But I don't trust her. I don't trust the boyfriend. I don't trust them. And I just don't trust people in general. That's who I am.
Right. I'm the same way.
I don't trust you. Especially when I can see that you're doing things you don't got no damn business. And you got different type of people coming in, banging on doors and shit.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't trust that.
No, I don't trust it either. We need to talk after this and see what we can do. But because when you lay your head down at night, you need to be.
You want to feel comfortable. Yeah. And I didn't. My spirit wasn't right early Sunday morning when I went to bed late. I watched the movie. I was having really bad nightmares, and that was just an omen. That's why I kept having those bad nights.
Yes.
Because there's a reason for that. And then I woke up, started, watching. I watched HGTV most of the day, and then I was OCD. I started moving stuff around, and I said, I'm gonna put this mirror in this window. I said, some just told me put this mirror in the window, and then next thing you know, bang, 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 bang. They're going from door to door, door to door, her door to my door. The next thing I know, I come out the kitchen and there's a whole human being standing there in the fucking window looking through.
Shit. Wow. No, you don't deserve to have. You should be somewhere that you feel safe.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't know people, and I don't know what these people up to, why they were banging on this door and knocking on my door. If I don't know if they thought maybe somebody took a package from their house. I don't know them from a can of paint, but I know.
No, but
as soon as I said you got the wrong door, they got the fuck on.
Right. No, which means they were up to shadiness, like they were up to no good. But your spirit told you to put that mirror in, it all makes sense. And in terms of you need to be aware.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need to figure this out because you really don't need to be sleeping where you don't feel.
No, I don't advise this to anybody. I just don't. Strange people. And then before that, another guy, he was banging on their door earlier. another Hispanic guy that looks like he's homeless that rides a bicycle. So you see, it's too much going on.
Yeah, girl, that's way too much going on over there. Way too much shadiness. No. All right, we need to talk after this because I'm gonna help you. That's too much.
Yeah. I'm just like I said, I've got a little money saved up, and I'm just
you need to be.
I'll be out tomorrow networking early to make arrangements to get on to the next level.
Okay. Well,
that's my plan tomorrow.
In terms of a lease or anything, because I can definitely help you with that.
No, that's not no issue. I can come out that anytime. It's just a matter of finding something. That's the problem.
Okay. Yeah, and that is a big problem. Like right now, rental is
it's the rent has gone up immensely here,
crazy right now.
And that's one of the issues.
Yeah.
There's not enough housing here in this area. For one, we don't have enough housing in the area. In all the little counties combined, there's just not enough housing.
And you definitely, I'm gonna say where you're at right now. You do need to try and figure something out. And I'll talk to if I can figure out how to get in touch with you after this. But like, you need to be somewhere where you can go to sleep and you feel safe.
Yeah.
You don't need craziness all around you. You just don't need, especially as being a single woman.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, because you don't know who's watching, you don't know who's looking, trying to see when you're coming and going, and you don't know. And I don't. And once you have problems with one, that can catapult to something else. Right. And that's how I look at life. So
you're 100% right. You're
like I'm up now, but like I said, whatever they was on, they got the point when I let her know. You got the damn floor. Oh, they hurried up and hit that trail.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And guess what? I got it on camera. Oh, I made sure that it wasn't gonna be no he said, she said on this event.
No,
I put the camera in the window and filmed from the moment I saw the guy sit on the step.
Oh, good.
And he knocked on the door. I mean, they went and knocked on the doors. I sat the camera in the window. So whatever transpires thereafter, right, you all explain it to law enforcement or whoever. What the fuck here? Everything. What was you doing? What were you looking for? Why are you one knocking on the door? Why is another one standing in the window? What you looking for? That's strange to me.
I mean, I'm telling you, someone looking at someone's windows, bro, that's scary. Like, that is scary.
That's my point. And you can see straight through the apartment. You can see everything I got, all that. That's what stunned me. When I stood there and looked at her back. We're looking face to face. And I'm looking at her like, what the fuck is she doing standing here looking through the fucking window? So I closed the blinds. And that's when I yelled, you got the wrong door. Right. And they heard and they got somewhere. Did you hear what I said?
Yes. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what, make sure you always make sure your phone or whatever is charged all the time, because
I got it. It's on full charge right now. And I make sure now I keep my keys beside me, in my little nightstand, everything right here in case I have to grab everything at once, because I got two ways of getting out of here. I got a front and a back door.
And you may I'm so worried. I don't want you to.
Well, I mean, you do what you have. My thing is this. Eventually, naturally, I have to go to sleep. And in your deep sleep, you're probably not going to hear anything. So, I always have to pray that if something is to transpire, it won't be when I'm in my deep sleep. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And I can easily, the front porch light, it's on. I can go now turn the back porch light on. And I always make sure, even if I'm not in the area, I keep the back porch light on at night if I decide to leave. That way, don't nobody know if I'm in here or not. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. No, I know what you're saying.
And that's the whole point. Whatever you up to, you don't know what's in here and what ain't in here.
Right. You don't know if there's a man and a woman.
And please don't get comfortable thinking that you do know.
Right. Well, I really would like to talk to you after this. And I'd love to help you because I really don't want you staying here, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm hoping, that soon I can get out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. You didn't know. Set up when I came to look at the place. I just didn't like the way it was set up. It's not a place I would have chosen, but I needed something quick at that time, so I took it. But I don't like the setup. I don't like the neighbor. I don't like when I'm seeing the traffic and stuff. I don't have time for none of that shit. And I'm not trying to be an eyewitness to nothing. I'm watching that bullshit.
No, so if you go under Bella Blaine, you can look me up and you can be able to get in touch with me.
Are you on Facebook or are you on IG? What you on?
Well, on YouTube actually. Girl, it's a silly thing, but it's nothing. But you can find me there.
Is that the only one you're on? Is YouTube?
Yeah, girl. I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's just shopping hauls. It's nothing. And the only reason I even did it was to study the algorithm. So, and I've not even done much with it, but you can find me there.
So you're not on Twitter, you're not on IG or any of those places?
No, I'm on IG. I can tell you. I'll tell you.
Well, you can't just tell me because you're on a live. So other people.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Exactly. Let me tell you what we're gonna do. Here's what we do. I can tell you how to get in touch with me. Just email me, and it's Law Girl.
Are you gonna put your email out here now too?
I don't mind my email because trust me, nobody wants to mess with me on my email.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me write it down. Okay, I'm ready.
This is all under legal. No one wants to mess with me in the legal stuff. So.
Okay.
All right, you tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, it's Law Girl 214.
Wait a minute, Law Girl 214
at gmail.com.
Okay.
And send me a message, and I'll send you my phone number. And we're gonna get you somewhere else. You don't need to be over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's out there cackling now. I guess she's smoking her marijuana.
You don't need to be around that man.
Dumbass trick. And got small children.
See, that's the stuff that gets me the worst.
Yeah.
That's where I go the hell off.
Too busy worrying about potted plants and flowers and shit. And you sit up here in Diamond and got small kids like your kids ain't gonna smell like damn weed. People just amaze me. The stuff that they do.
They're crazy.
I just shakes my head.
Girl, you don't need to be around all that craziness. We're gonna.
My thing is this. I don't be in other people's business worrying about who's doing what, where they're going, this and that. But when I start seeing weird type behavior from people coming out the door, banging, and going, acting funky, sitting in their car doing weird shit, then I'm starting to wonder what the fuck you on. And that right there, I don't want to be around that because I don't want to be around anything in case some shit jump out. And just like today, the strange people knocking, they're knocking at your door, they're knocking at my door. So I'm like, okay, you don't know who you're looking for?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That makes me wonder if you've done something and people come and trying to find your ass.
Right. Well, here's the thing. You don't need to be around that. Like, listen, we can get you somewhere else. You do not need to be around that mess. And I'm assuming that you're a single female. I don't know. You don't even have to answer, but
no, yeah.
Like a female, especially if you're like I'm a single female.
Mm-hmm.
I need to feel safe, and I need to feel extra safe because I am a single female, and I do feel safe where I'm at. But you do not need to be around that. You just don't. You need to be able to. Your home is supposed to be your safe haven.
And that's how I feel. I don't care who you are, where you live. When you put the key in your door, wherever you are, you should feel comfortable when you're there. You should feel relaxed when you're there. You should feel safe. You shouldn't have to be worried about bickering with anybody, arguing with anybody, across the way, the hall, below, under you, above, across the street, whatever the situation is. Because once you start getting neighbor issues, anything could pop off. And that's how I look at it.
No, anything can.
Yeah, anything can pop off. Once you get bad blood with a neighbor, you got a problem.
It's the worst.
You can't trust people once you have words.
It is. My dad used to tell me, and when he told me this, I was like, Dad's just being dad. He's just being ugly. But he used to say, Vinces make the best neighbors. That's what he always said. And because when I built my home and stuff, like I was friends with all the neighbors. Girl, I ended up learning he was right after all. because my neighbors drove me crazy. Not like security wise, but just craziness. Like trying to get my dog picked up. Just craziness.
Yeah.
So yeah, neighbors can be the worst.
And that's all it takes is one little thing. It could be, and I've learned that even when people own houses, rent houses, they'll say the same thing. They'll say, well, you want to be in a house, that could be a problem too. Because I know a lady, she's got a problem with a woman over a fucking ditch. I'm just like, what the fuck is there to argue over?
No, but they will. I'm gonna tell you what, where my biggest problem I ever had, and I'm still going through the repercussions of it. But where we built our house, I was married then. I'm not married now. I'm single and divorced. But I was on the home association, and the neighbor was building a house across from me, and I was on the home association, and I didn't okay because it was impeding and it was illegal, and I was pregnant. This woman come up and tried to hit me. I mean, girl, it gets crazy in these neighborhoods. It gets crazy. And I literally told my husband at the time, like I say, I'm divorced now, but I was like, I don't even feel safe here. Like, we just built this. I don't feel safe. This one's, and she ended up in my damn divorce shit. Oh my God.
What?
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Oh, Lord.
Crazy.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that you just don't ever know how things can jump off.
And you don't know how much people can be watching you. I didn't know until I went through my divorce, and this woman had written down she had like a whole journal of when I was coming and going, all kinds of stuff.
So what was she? She was helping your husband?
Yes.
Yeah, I see.
But it did work in her favor, because he and I actually are still very close. Now, we'll never be together. No. But no, she's literally named in my damn divorce papers. She had a whole journal saying when I was coming and going. It was crazy. And so what I'm saying is, you don't know. People will be watching you and you have no clue.
I know people watch. That's what I'm saying. I watch everything coming out. I look at who's sitting out, who's doing what, just for, security reasons. You might know somebody sit outside all the time. You might be like, damn, do you ever go inside your house? It's 100 degrees outside. You're sitting outside the damn heat. But that's somebody who has a bullseye view of you coming and going, and when you went shopping, and how many bags you brought in, because they're sitting outside all the damn time and they can see every damn thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. But yeah, but you should, like, I'm very I have a photographic memory, so I can scan something, and if anything's out of place, or if something's happened, or there's a tag number, because I can tell you anything you need to know. But now, can I tell you when they're coming and go? No, I'm not about that.
Yeah.
But my area, I scan it. When I'm coming and going, I scan everything.
You have to. In this day and age, you have to be aware. I don't believe in being a nosy Parker or nothing like that, but there comes a point when people start asking too many questions. They're commenting on things that don't have anything to do with them. That's when I'm leery.
Right.
It's not your business about who's visiting or what car was parked out. As long as nobody's breaking the law or doing anything, it's not none of your business. But you have people like that they're watching all that, they're paying attention, and then they're gonna let you know, yeah, I'm looking at that, and who came in your door last. And see, people like that, I don't have anything to do with it.
No,
I don't want to deal with people like that. Because I don't bother my neighbors. I don't say anything to them. I barely speak. And most of the people, they just come and go. They don't bother me. There's just this one bitch. She's just a psycho. Because she doesn't have anything to do. She doesn't work. She don't do nothing. She's just, you know what I'm saying? She don't have a life.
Right.
Life,
Too much time on her hands and not a life.
Yeah, and I remember my grandmother said that years ago when I was young, and she was like, the reason why these people stay in stuff is because they don't work, they don't have jobs, so all they can do is focus on the neighbors.
Right.
Watch what they're doing when they're coming and going, because they don't work, they don't do anything. And that's, to me, that term. You're at home all fucking day and all you're doing is, noise.
Mm-hmm.
Young babies running up, making noise and shit.
Right.
How you gonna put your kids in preschool? What you gonna do?
Right. It's like, it makes me think of, I think, this is not even my era, this is my parents' era, but I remember my mom, if someone was nosy, she would always call it Mrs. Kravitz. And she said Mrs. Kravitz was always looking out the windows. She would always say, "Oh, there's Miss Kravitz over there."
Hey, this the gist of the story. They got this. Because guess what? When I'm long gone, I feel sorry for the next. That's all I'm gonna say. I feel sorry. I do. I actually feel really bad for the next person that comes in. They're gonna be miserable as fuck.
Right. They will, but you know what?
They're not gonna be told anything. They're gonna get this lame ass story from the landlord about, oh, it's a family that lives upstairs and blah blah blah. And honey, they're gonna be that first time they get in here and think they're gonna get some good night's sleep, or they gotta get up and go to work early. They about to get an eye-opening experience.
Oh, well, you know what? Here's the thing. You're right. That's probably is exactly what's gonna happen. But we gotta get you out of there. And
yes.
Whoever comes in, they'll have to deal with it, you know.
Yes, they do. And we gonna pray for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm gonna check out of here. Thank you for visiting, Miss Blaine.
Okay. All right. Well, you got my email, and
yes. And thank you. I will be in contact, and I'll probably go live tomorrow because there's another story I want to bring out about that guy from out west who kidnapped a young lady from Oregon. And he's the latest hot news right now.
Okay.
YouTube.
Well, I'll look. I have you on my alert. So
okay.
I'll be looking.
Okay, honey. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Okay, bye, sweetie. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That's Miss Bella Blaine. She's a neighbor here in the South. Thank you all so much for following the content. Thank you all who listen. I will put up a movie suggestion of the week. And as I told you all, the weekend I went to see Talk to Me. It's a horror movie. I know some of you are not horror fans, but it's a very interesting movie. I did enjoy it. Queen jumped about maybe once or twice during the movie. It was pretty good. But anyway, I will put up a suggestion for this week. And I will be posting to the community board. So please go to my community page and check out the said information. All the information that I've mentioned, most of the commentary is posted to the community page via the YouTube queue. And once again, if you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. I did not plan to go on this long, and I did get a little sidetracked in the commentary, but it's all in good conversation. Thank you all so much for joining me. We'll be back. I'll try to come on tomorrow so we can talk about this other case from Washington State of that young man who has been accused of interstate kidnapping. He's got a very weird name, but we'll dissect that later. Thank you so much, Miss Blaine. Thank you all for the love. You have been listening to The Vault XL.